create some 1990s masterpieces with them. Created by Microsoft in 1995, 3D Movie Maker is an animation program that allows kids to create goofy little scenes with pre-made characters and objects. It is very clear that this program has some incredible meme potential, as shown by many old YouTube videos such as this absolute masterpiece. And so, I downloaded and booted up this program, and to my absolute surprise, despite it being made for Windows 95, it can still run on Windows 11. We hop onto the program and are greeted by this wacky little guy named McZ.
Nice to finally meet you face to face.
We then watch in horror as he shoves items into this seemingly bottomless bag, and then he gets on a shopping cart roller coaster and then lands on a sidewalk and dies. But anyway, we end up at a theater booth while McZ is absolutely jamming it up, and he asks if we want to watch or make a movie. I decided to start off by watching a movie, and the one called Bongo really struck my eye. After getting mentally scarred from whatever that was, I leave the movie theater only to be met with more nightmare fuel. This is Melanie, and she's the tutorial guide that's going to teach me how to create a 3D logo. I'm first prompted to choose a background, and then the text, as well as the animation for the text, and after putting it all together, I ended up with this. Thanks, Melanie! After that, I decide it's finally time for me to create my own movie with actors and dialogue from scratch. I selected a scene and started by adding this kind young looking gentleman from the list of actors. I definitely struggled to figure out how to maneuver the tools and options at first, and it was quite finicky. It took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to learn how to change my dude's outfit and give him some animations, but boy was he vibing once I did. I then scrolled through the list of dialogue sounds and elected to record my own.
Wow, I sure hope this plane doesn't blow up.
I then added some raps and learned how to change the scene, and from there it was pretty much smooth sailing. And without further ado, I present to you my movie.
Wow, I sure hope this plane doesn't blow up.
Hey, that was excellent.
Honestly, I really liked 3D Movie Maker. It was really charming, and you could tell the developers really cared about making a fun experience for the user. My only wish is that they removed Melanie. So I chanced upon this article that shows some very beautiful old CGI art, and they all have one thing in common. They were made with a program called Pavre. So naturally, I boot up this program without doing any research whatsoever, and I'm immediately jump scared by the realization that this program is entirely code-based and has no visual interface. But fear not, because the knowledge I gained from my 9th grade programming
Żyjesz, Mlemiku? Mlemiku. Mlemiku, chodź. Chodź. Chciała wskoczyć na kolana, ale chyba się uderzyła. Mlemiczku, chodź. Mlemik, chodź. Mlemik. Mlemik. Lulu. Lulu. Chodź, no chodź. No chodź. No chodź. No chodź, mój piku. No chodź. O, tu się ułóż tak jak lubisz. Tak, tak, tak. No już zeszła. Dobrze.
In class is going to come in absolute clutch here. The program starts you out with pre-made code that displays funny little images, and I just absolutely adore the noise it makes whenever you run the code. I decided to use the file called Taurus as the base plate for my own render. I removed all the objects in the code, which
No. Tak, ona dzień później wychodziła.
removed them from the scene, and I began messing around with random things I could do, like adding this pretty little rainbow. I then was able to change the ground texture and add a funny little blue pancake. I then made a huge discovery that I could change the audio that plays when it renders, and I decided to replace it with a way better sound. It was really fun changing the code and then getting to be surprised by whatever the result of that change was, like accidentally making my pancake look like this. And after about an hour of writing code / borrowing from other projects, I present to you my grand creation. I call him the Donut of Truth. Just look at how cute he is. ck3 was actually really fun to use, and it was quite cool to see such a uniquely different CGI software. You know Blender, the greatest modern 3D software out there? Yeah, the first version of it was released in 1995. Unlike the other two programs I discussed, Blender 1.0 was painfully difficult to get my hands on, as it was made for a prehistoric operating system. But luckily, there's a half-hour long tutorial on how to get this thing running by a YouTuber called Alpenstorm. Thank you! But I now have a working emulator with Blender 1.0 installed and ready to use. Now let me just tell you, this program was horrendous. The similarities between modern-day Blender were there, but the layout was just so much less intuitive and it felt like nothing made sense. I couldn't render the scene because I was missing a camera, but after adding a camera, I still couldn't render the scene because I was missing a camera. It took me an entire hour just to figure out how to add a material to an object. Half the time, I'd just accidentally make everything in the scene disappear. But once I got it somewhat under my belt, I was able to make a pretty little house with a tree. I then decided to add some text to my scene, and it immediately crashed on me. So those were some of the weirdest 90s CGI programs I could find. I definitely was pleasantly surprised by how cool and unique some of these programs are, and I hope they never get completely buried by time, except for Blender 1.0, that was horrible.
Alright, so welcome back to Dapper Dog Plays. This is a new type of video I'm gonna try. I'm just gonna talk about I'm sure if you're a ck3 fan, you've seen that the news for the next chapter 3 is coming out, and I've got my thoughts on it. I'm actually pretty excited about it, actually. There was a dev diary number 143. I'll probably post some images up about it. Super excited about it. It's got some chapter 3. I've already pre-ordered it because I'm a loser, and well, I'm not a loser, but I'm a super awesome mega chad. It's ck3, and also I love the game, so of course I'm gonna pre-order it. Essentially, the next pack just looks really cool. I'm not against the current pack. I think this next pack's gonna be really cool, gonna add some really interesting things to the game that I think it really needs to kind of revitalize it. Keep it fresh. It's definitely gotten a little stale in some places. I think it's gonna add some gameplay that's gonna make things a little bit better for people. Get some verisimilitude. That's the word I wanted to like said it right. But anyway, I think the big part of this is the first part with Legends of the Dead, which is the core expansion. Now, I guess it's like they made a point to mention that a core expansion focus on broad systemic changes to the core gameplay loop or high impact systems that affect large parts of the game world. This is our first core expansion. We wanted systems that were big and all encompassing, affecting all rulers on the map in one way or another. That said, here's a high level list of what you'll see in the expansion as an accompanying update. So basically, the expansion Legends of the Dead will cover legends, plagues, it'll have the Black Death, and a system called Legitimacy, which seems to be, from what I've heard it explained, seems to be like the, not the reverse, but like a companion to Dread. So think of Legitimacy as the legitimate of your ruler within the eyes of the people that that they are controlling. So the people, your legitimacy will be threatened by probably like events that make you look poorly in the eyes of your vassals, your people, your council, your courtiers, and just a general populace. You can expect that if you have low legitimacy, you'll probably get events that will trigger private rebellions or challenges to your rule. People that think that have a better maybe claim to your crown or your seat will be much more apt to act. There may be other events that are kind of tied around that. They'll probably put you in danger of being, assassinated or something like that because your legitimacy, if it's high, the reverse of that will probably be true. So in a way, it acts kind of like Dread, although Dread is pretty straightforward, like fear, like how much they fear you, how ruthless you are. And I mean, it used to be an old school ck3 was new ruler, who this, let me execute every one of my dungeons. Oh, now I'm at max Dread. They're all gonna fear this 10-year-old who just executed 12 people. They got rid of that, obviously, they fixed it, but so that's one of the things that I think Legitimacy will do. The Black Death, I think, is kind of self-explanatory. This will have diseases, and the Black Death is gonna be the kind of like an end game. It's usually mid to late game event. Starts in the 1300s, and it's supposed to just wreck Europe and probably pretty much just anywhere that's near there. And it's probably like a soft reset. It'll probably gut a lot of different kingdoms, make those that are really strong weak, and give people a chance to kind of take revenge of the chaos. Chaos is the ladder, as they say. So that's gonna be an interesting mechanic. I'm kind of intrigued to see how that'll work out. Plagues in and of themselves, in super across the land, they get spawned by random chance. Activity armies, so those of us that like to conquer, I know I'm guilty of that. We might be plague spreaders, so we have to be careful with that. Plagues will probably, different types of plagues will target different types of populations. So some may target the elderly, some may target children, some rulers and stuff like that. I mean, in general, I mean, obviously it's going to be a threat to everyone, but there may be people that are more susceptible to certain types of plagues that are popping up. I think that'll be an interesting one to see how often plagues pop up, because that would be the more important, I think, balancing factor. Like, how often are plagues hitting different regions? I think we'll get a better idea of how armies are going to affect plagues. Hopefully there'll be ways to maybe get perks or ways to improve like the cleanliness of your armies if you don't want to be spreading plague everywhere you go. And I'm confident that there'll be something along those lines. We may even get I mean, it hasn't been mentioned here, but I'm guessing anything that's a core expansion, we might be getting more traditions, legacies for our families that might be able to work around like legitimacy, plagues, and definitely probably legends. I would suspect that that's something we'll see, but it has not come out yet. I'm only speculating. And speaking of legends are tales of our ancestors, epic deeds. We can already create in the game like, a book about your history, but it's kind of like abstract. You don't really have a lot of control over it. It kind of just mentions things, but they're not really tied to anything that's happening in game. Legends are supposed to be tied to things that actually happened in the history of your game. So, and they can be embellished, obviously. Obviously, they might be like, they slew a dragon when they probably just like killed a bear or something. But it's a common part of medieval life. Your legend grows, spread. The book will be updated with your story, and events you get along the way allow you to alter certain aspects to suit you better. I would assume that there are probably events that suit you better, but there's also going to be events that make it worse. I would like to think that there'd be the flip side of that, that you might get events that have a chance to make your legend go in a direction that you didn't intend for the worse of. But in general, legends seem to be a thing that will improve. And in there, I believe in one of the screenshots, they showed that legends will have an upkeep cost. So you have to spend a certain amount of gold per month to keep spreading the legend. So that's an interesting kind of balancing act there. Okay, I'm interested to see how that works. Also makes you more famous, makes your probably your lineage more famous. Is probably another way to farm. That's so bad with all differences in what their names are, but it's more a way to farm stuff for your family. So I think that would be, I think that's gonna be pretty interesting. But overall, it sounds good. Obviously, we don't have a lot of details yet, other than a few screenshots and the videos. But this is supposed to come out March 4th, I believe. So we're gonna be getting it pretty soon. So I'm already really excited about that one. The next major expansion is going to be Roads to Power, and I think they've already put up a roadmap of when these are supposed to come out in general. I think the only one that has an exact date is the first one I mentioned, which is Legends of the Dead. Roads to Power, the next one. This one is very Byzantine focused, so it's focused on, and I just want to take a second here to say that if you enjoy this content, if you're enjoying it and you're having a good time, click that subscribe button. Just click it. Lovingly touch it, caress it, punch it, smash it, do what you gotta do. Subscribe. We're gonna bring in a lot more ck3 content to the channel. I've been trying to do other stuff, but I mean, ck3 will always be a mainstay of the channel. That's what people seem to really resonate with the most, and it's a game that I really enjoy playing. So we are here with ck3 for the long haul. Subscribe, comment, tell me what you think. It's gonna be really cool for tell me below what you think is gonna be a good addition, or what you would like to see come to ck3, or what annoys you the most about the game. Whatever, hit me up. Let's get back to it. The good old Byzantine Empire, adding more to the bureaucracy, imperial administration, which is some kind of system to use our influence to improve your standing for noble families. Basically, I think it's going to change up how play is done within the Byzantine Empire, which is, I think, going to be interesting to make it much more unique. I think it's probably needed that. I know some people have tried to add things to make it more like, I guess, how it used to be. I'm not a history reader when it comes to the Byzantines, but I would suspect that it didn't operate completely like the rest of the feudal world. It was probably just a little bit different. Now, the one piece of this one that's got a lot of people, I think, excited is adventurers. You can set across the world's historical adventurer, one of your own making, or keep playing your beloved character after being unfortunately deposed from your lands. Travel to some realms, take on contracts, gather friends, wealth, and fame, do mercenary work, or settle in lands. So this is essentially landless play. This is something I think a lot of people wanted for. I know that there is a mod for Crusader Kings 2 that covers landless play. You can start from like just a peasant and work your way to being like a baron eventually, and then going on from there. Now, keep in mind, it has already been noted from the devs that you will not be able to play a baron. If you become landed again, you will start at the count level. They just said the count is the standard lowest level they're going to worry about. This one, I'm not that disappointed about it. I don't see the appeal for Baron play because Barons have such little power, but maybe someone out there is probably disappointed, and if you are, sorry. I'm sure there'll be a mod that'll come out that will rectify that if you really want to be Barons, especially that they're going to be adding all this content for being able to. I think what will sell the Adventurer is just how much content there is to do it. I love the content in ck3, but I do often think it gets too repetitive in some places, and that'd be my biggest fear with this kind of content, is that you become landless and you only get like 4 different events that you can really do. There need to be a great multitude of events, and really you could recycle some events for landed play and landless play so that you can do a bunch of them. But again, it really just depends on how many events there are and how compelling the gameplay is. But this is really cool. It does allow you to keep playing if unfortunately you lose your land. Let's say you play an extremely hard start and you lose it, but then you can keep adventuring and maybe come back later and rise to power again. Again, we'll have to see how that works out, what systems are in place, how you can move from court to court. how you engage in politics and diplomacy, and how those skills work at a lower level when you're interfacing with kings, queens, dukes, and all that stuff, and how you can, like, we become a part of their army. We be essentially a knight. Like, if you join a court and you're trying to be a knight, will you then be compelled to be a knight in all their armies and all their wars? Which would make sense, but I could see how they may not do it, because they technically, as a vassal, you should be compelled to be a knight, but you're never compelled to fight in your lord's armies. And I could see that being the same if you're unlanded, but hopefully they'll give you the option to do so, because the fighting in people's other armies and taking out contracts, that seems to imply that there will be, but there may be a different system at work, so we'll see. But this is one I'm super excited about. I'm almost certainly gonna do a landless run. I mean, as soon as I can get my hands on Roads to Power, like, the first thing I'm gonna probably create is an unlanded person trying to rise up, bring their family from, you know, peasant status to maybe, you know, to greatness. I think that'd be a very compelling and fun story to kind of watch. Otherwise, I think for Roads to Power, they also mentioned everything Byzantium. They said they're not exaggerating when I said we'll be dripping with Byzantine flavor, so I'm guessing if you play within there, it'll be similar to, like, Northern Lords, where they reflavored parts of the UI to be much more, to look, you know, Byzantine-like. You know how, like, you get, like, the runes and stuff, and the wood if you play in the Northern Lords, you play a Viking or whatever, so I could see that happen. Doing some reflavoring of things and stuff like that, and just adding more events that kind of reinforce the fact that you're playing within the Byzantine Empire. I've never really played there, so that'll probably get a chance to try that. Matter of fact, I might just be able to venture in the Byzantine Empire just to get best of both worlds. That might be a good idea for that. But and so next, I think the next one I mentioned was an event pack, which is the Wandering Nobles. This is something that I'm glad they're doing, and I think they need to do more of this kind of stuff. If there's one area where Crusader Kings 3 can get stale a little bit, is events. Once you've seen a few events, you're going to see them, especially over a long period of play, you're going to see the same birthday event over and over and over. Even on the same character, sometimes you might see it like 4 or 5 times, but how long that character lives. If you're playing a mod where characters can live a long time, you might see that same event several times. And what I'm talking about is one where it's like, oh, there's a noise, you don't know what's happening, and then you get a surprise party, and you pay a gift, and you never get like the rat's tail or some crappy gift that you just want to burn. So the game needs more events. This event pack will hopefully add more travel events. I'm glad they want to flesh the mechanic out, even more reasons to travel, things that can happen on the road. I mean, really, it just needs more events. You just need more. Like, sadly, this is one of those contents where it just needs more. And it needs more events, and I think it needs to be balanced enough so that way, like, if there's one thing I hate about the travel events is that people die constantly. And I guess they're supposed to die. Like, it's the Middle Ages, it's a little bit more dangerous, but I mean, the amount of times I've had relatives just die at sea because, you know, they're constantly traveling by sea, and sea death events are like so common, they happen all the freaking time, that I hope they rebalance that a little bit, because, oh man, that's one that kind of needs to be looked at. And yeah, that'd be a big one. But the travel mechanic, I think I really like it. I'm glad they're going in and adding more events to it. It needs more events. They need to do that with everything. There needs to be more romance events. There needs to be more assassination events. They need to, I mean, really, I would love to just do an event pack for just all the basic events in the game. Add more types of assassination, add more types of romance, more types of seduction events, more just types of daily events, more lifestyle events. I mean, those could use a refresh, could use some new stuff that we could add for martial, learning. All those events could use some additional stuff, more maybe even tie them into the memory system a little more. I think that would be a very good idea. Just needs more. I would love a capstone event, like if you managed to get all of the trees done, maybe a rare event where you get a chance to, I don't know, something. But again, there's probably mods that probably do that kind of thing, but I would love for more events. I think more events is just a good thing, and so the Wandering Nobles event pack, while it seems to be the smaller of the three that's listed, I think it'll go a long way to revitalizing people that just probably don't travel, because realistically, if you go do like the tournament, you go to one tournament, you've seen a majority of the events. You know, but like you keep going back to them, you just see the same event over and over and over and over again. I know there's only so many ways you can say you've won a duel or you've won the book, but I mean, they can use a little more of what's going on there. And apparently, if you go ahead and purchase the chapter 3, you get an instant unlock Couture of the Capettes. It's a French-based, basically clothing pack, and I think it's focused on the high medieval period. So it's very historical. Probably looks very nice. It's instant unlocks once you've already got it. You'll be able to look at those things when you get to the high medieval period for the French. So I'm not gonna get too much into that, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they post for Legend of the Dead, because that looks like it's gonna be very fun. I'm looking forward to diseases, and I'm just looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the second one, which is gonna have the landless people. Legends looks like it'll be fun to mess with. Diseases will be interesting to kind of work around, see how it changes up, how we play. I think the game needs more events that go through and change up how we're playing. If there's one thing, I think that it needs more events, that large scale events that can reset the playing field. The game can get a little stale towards, like, I would say, for me anyway, the game can get a little stale when it gets to the mid to late game, because at that point everyone's pretty big, it's pretty stable. There can be some changes, but either you're steamrolling or you're just, if you're playing well, you're probably steamrolling. Like, you could steamroll if you wanted to, but you're not, because really the computer's pretty incompetent. And having events that kind of reset that, or at least add a little more chaos to things at the end, make it so even you may have to struggle a little bit, even in the mid to late game, I think would be a good idea. So I'm looking forward to it, but otherwise, this is looking really cool. This is looking like a really good year. I'm really excited to see how these come out, and it's definitely revitalized my level of play for Crusader Kings 3. So stay tuned. We're gonna be bringing more of that content, of course, to the channel. All right, well, that's all I got. So I'm out. See ya. Bye.
Have you ever played The Binding of Isaac and thought, wow, what if the game was grosser than this? If you did, you might like this one. This is Cavity Busters, a not new roguelike, but kind of a new roguelike. It released last year, not a lot of reviews on Steam, and it did just have a release on consoles today. So figured we'd check it out, see what's going on in Cavity Busters. Has been described as a Binding of Isaac style game. It's got the graphics of like Flash Isaac, but there's a lot more like funky movement tech in this game than Isaac, and you're gonna see that shortly as we do the tutorial. So let's hop in and see what's going on. I would like to play it, because like I said, there is a lot going on in this game, and there's a lot to unpack. So This is me. My abilities have been taken away. Find them. If the way is blocked, try another direction. So, real heroes go left. We start. So this is a nice, happy little room. It's very good. Another very nice, happy little room. I'm just gonna walk through these, and here we go. So I found the tooth. This is my weapon. Left mouse button to shoot. Left mouse button to recall. So I can press E to continue, and now I can shoot, right? And then I press, and it comes back. So it's like a singular shot that we bust out. And then we can charge it up and really send it out, and then call it back. So that's the way we attack. Do a charge shot by holding down. That's what I just showed you. Press the shoot button before a charge attack hits a wall to perform a boomerang attack. So we can do that, and then send it right on back to us, if we would like to. Again, it's just all of the funky tech in this game that makes it a really fascinating little damage dealing, just interesting idea, right? I'm not gonna go so far as to call it a masterpiece yet, but there are a lot of things that this game does really well that I think are pretty cool. So here's our roll. We can roll. That's cool. Right mouse button to roll. We can roll over holes, and we can roll over bullets. So little dodge roll action. I'm just gonna real quick, okay? Controls and rebind, and we are going to rebind dash roll. Oh, what the frick am I doing, dude? Rebind left to A, jump to space. This is a really strange way of doing this, all things considered. Rebind up, down, right. Yeah, okay. But it seems like maybe I can't actually rebind the dash. Whatever, it's fine. I'll get used to right click to dash. I was gonna rebind it to shift because that's what I do for enter the gunji. Well, that's fine. Wall run. You can roll into walls to initiate a wall run. So here's where the movement tech in the game goes crazy, right? So I dash. Nope, that is not how it worked. Jump back down. Nope, jump back down, please. We roll into the wall, and now I'm on the wall, right? And I can move around the map, which is so funky. It's so funky. So we're here, and then, oh, frick me. It's hard, man. It's a hard game. And then we can jump back through these and do like a little dash attack, right? There's just so many funky mechanics. So then you can do stuff like this, right? And come over to here. Same thing here. So you can kind of navigate around, and it's cool. So deflect yellow bullets by dodge rolling or wall dashing. So sure, I'll deflect you and kill you real quick. Everybody freaking dead. That went fantastic. Let's go right. So wall run through the bullets. Blue bullets won't hurt you. Okay, I definitely took damage there because they turned not blue shortly after. Okay, jump to here, dash off onto here, and now we gotta jump. So press space to jump. Jumps have a cooldown timer. So now I can literally jump up into the air and just avoid any of this nonsense, right? It's so wacky, dude. Stunned enemies flash. Jump on stunned enemies. Okay, so I'll jump on the stunned enemy, and I'll just kill all the enemies from up here. Why not, right? Why not? Enemies are stunned when hit by a tooth that has caused previous damage. Bosses and mini-bosses are stunned by repeated attacks. There's just so much going on, right? That did not go according to plan. Just jump. Why am I trying to wall run through here? Just frickin' jump, right? So much easier. So this is my shotguns. Press shift to shoot. So you can see me having a hell of a shoot right now. Auto aim is on by default. We'll hop over here and kill this guy. That's good. Several options in the menu to make them fit my style. I'll just keep the style that I got going. Get 10 shotgun kills. I will. And I will, and I will. The shotgun, it's hard to say. Shotgun feels good. Healing power gives health used with Q. I've gained my heals, and that's the tutorial. I don't know, man. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack. It's like the learning curve in this game is crazy. So don't expect me to be good right away. Here are my gummies. I don't know what this means. Okay, I think these are maybe my characters. Maybe I just random. There's like 20 of these. Just get me out of here. Tab to select. I'll select this. Okay. Sorry, you have nothing. Okay. What is this? These are the modifier, compiler, computer guy. Looks like I maybe don't have some of these unlocked yet, and God knows I'm not ready for hard mode, so let's not do that. What's going on over here? That's the tutorial. That's great news. Okay, let's talk. Am I ready? Stand beneath my glorious drips, and I will take you up. Ascend and defeat the pearly knights. Okay, I just hate it, man. It's disgusting. It's the grossest game. It's taken the award for the grossest roguelike I have ever played. So welcome to the Goop Canals, as we all do. The Goop Canals. Who are you? Grrr. Oh, another discard of Gob. Then I will help. Okay, try to explore the nooks and crannies. Okay, what is this thing? This is just nothing. That's fine. There's a little sign that says hey. That's kind of cool. There's also, yeah, so there's these things. If I have shovels, which I don't have, you can literally dig through the walls of the map. Kind of like Red Key in Isaac, but if you don't have shovels, it hurts to do it, so I probably shouldn't have done that. They'll teach me that probably at some point. I played the tutorial and then like a little bit after, just to get kind of things straight before I played. Who the frick are you? Oh my lord. Okay, jump. Dude, it's the movement tech. What the frick? Dodge roll. It's chaos, man. It's pure chaos. Okay. He's stunned. See, he's stunned. Jump in the air. Hit him. Are you dead? You're not dead. You're dead. He's so good. Okay. Press E to see the new tooltip. Actions that give goop. Goop is used to activate shotguns and heal yourself. Okay. And I did just get a goop +5. So that's good. Nothing like a goop +5 to get you going on a nice day. No clue what's going on here. I'll just leave. I think that was one of the rooms that I created. I still don't really know what that is either. Killing enemies. Oh, here's I had a syringe. I don't know where the syringe went. That's fine. Just leave. We did have the syringe though. Okay, this is actually a big room. Let's what good ways? What am I doing? What am I doing? It looks like there's syringes in the wall over there. You see that? Okay, what is this? You've contracted a disease? Frick me, okay? Diseases are mainly dropped by enemies that carry negative and positive effects. Negative effects can be cured, leaving you with the good effects. Some cannot be cured. Okay. Sure. Enemies spit up on death. Sometimes it's helpful. Okay. As one would expect. Also, I just dug a hole in the ground and picked up some miscellaneous random things, so that's good. You're just having a good time over here. Can I do some shotguns on you? Wall run to instant kill wall huggers. Okay, yeah, that's extremely useful to know for sure. Okay, we're keeping things going. Press E to talk. Hello. Enemies that are on the wall can be killed by... That's my tooltip. Press E to talk. You can jump to rooms you've already visited. Okay, this can be done in rooms without enemies. All you need to do is jump. Also good to know. I can take away the bad effects. The best part, this will hurt. Stand in the extraction area. Stick out your tongue and show me what ails you. Sure, that's fine. Oh my god. Okay, sure. So enemies no longer spit up, and I just get the positive effects of this. Whatever the positive effects are. That's good. You're just a little freak, to be honest with you. I smell your delicious diseases. I'm gonna have to have a long talk with all indie game developers after this one. That said, for the record, having a great time. I'm having a great time. It's a weird game, don't get me wrong, but I am having a good time. It's like The Binding of Isaac meets being a freak, which is fine by me. I am a freak, so it works out in my favor. I keep on getting hit by stuff, man. What am I getting hit by? I was getting hit by something. I'm also trying to figure out, can I break these? I don't know if I can break these. I'm very low on health right now. I'd like to get a little heal going. There's a weird tentacle in the wall. This makes it seem like it's gonna kill me. No, it's not. Oh, what is going on? Oh, what the frick is going on? It's a boss fight. Okay. Hello. Good to see you. I'm just gonna... I fell into the damn pit. I'm an idiot. Okay. You know what? You got me. You got me. Don't be too greedy. Brother, I was not too greedy. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So hit me with a retry. Send me right back in. I'm ready for the good times and the bad this time around. Just start to see the Binding of Isaac matrix, right? That I feel like this is a common thing in games like this, where everything seems very foreign until you start getting it. And then as soon as we start getting it, I can't... Oh, the yellow ones we can send back. You did tell me that. The game tells you everything. What the hell is this? Disrupt the slumber of drunk. Sure, yeah, I'll do it. That's fine. Left mouse button and right mouse button to input code. What the hell are you talking? Okay, I see. So, yeah. I don't know what the hell the code is. Okay, I'll just leave. That sounds fine. Our boss fight was up there, but I feel like I want like an ounce of other things first before we tackle that one. Give me the goop. The goop is all mine. I'm loving it. Okay, we're starting to move now. Here's our things that we got. So I immediately, I don't know how to work that menu, man. You guys are gonna think that I've lost my mind, that I'm an idiot. Although then again, that's not too different from usual. What's going on in here? You're just a guy. Let's talk. Glug crowns. Press E to feed a crown tooth. I don't have one. But we do have this, which is an unknown. This is the wisdom tooth, the big one. You'll lose it eventually. Okay, I have a feeling that I just like massively, yeah, I massively increased my damage right now. Unlock the real live baby. Okay, yeah, sure, makes sense. Can I give you anything? Crowns? I ain't got crap for you, my guy. I ain't got crap for you. So if I jump, I can teleport. I'll move back to here real quick. I gotta make sure I utilize that in the future. I don't have any clue what this means, okay? Maybe I do. This is whatever my purple thing is, right? So that's 7.5. Maybe you like to round up. We'll go to 8, okay? This is my health -1, so this is 2. This is the max value that this can hold, or the number of those dots there are, which it looks like 16 to me. Actually, it looks like 20. And then this is a question mark. One of the... Did you see the eye? Oh, the eyes are popping every time. Oh, it keeps on rising. Okay, I had no clue. I had not even the slightest clue in my brain how to accurately do that. So, you know what I say? Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Instead, we're gonna send you. We're gonna send you back. Okay, you're on the move. Send out some tooth gums, some gum teeth, some shot gums. Move out of the way. You're a little freak, but we can make it happen. Just get the movement straight, right? Get the movement straight. As long as you are maintaining proper movement. Dude, that's a flawless fight. He's crazy. I'm the greatest gamer of all time, maybe? Nope, just kidding. Oh no, just kidding. I am the greatest gamer of all time. I'm the best. I got a big crown. That was a crown tooth. I'm gonna go back to that other guy real quick. Okay, pretty tendrils stun an enemy when you jump. Sure. Here's all of my actions that give goop and all that. And then I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna come back to you. This is not the correct place. I'm gonna come back to you. Come on down. Glug, glug, glug. Crowns. Feed a crown tooth. I gave him it. Let's go. And he provides me with a little bit of money. That seems like probably not worth it. Okay. Sure, why not, right? Things are going fine. So I can now leave this floor, perhaps? Is that the vibe? Yeah. I'll just stay underneath you and you'll take me on to the next floor. Look at us, dude. Starting to learn. We're starting to learn. The goop canals too. Fantastic. We back, baby. Okay. And the goop canals, they go. And they go and they go. I'm starting to get comfortable. It takes a little bit, man. I mean, there's a lot going on in this game. And it's like all freaking weird. So it takes a little bit to get comfortable. I still don't actually know what this thing is in each room. Like, I know it's literally in every single room, but I have no clue what it is. So things to learn. This seems like a cursed item. I'll take you. Roids. No cure. The enemy health increases, but my tooth is explosive. I have low damage explosion, and explosion destroys bullets. This seems like a positive to me. Right? This seems like a positive. You're dead. Are you exploding over here? Oh. The bullets block my shot. That is horrid. that is actually ridiculously bad for us. Okay, what's going on in here? It's just a dude. Continuing to just have many of these guys in all these rooms. Hit him with a little one of those real quick. Couple smacks. Surprised I didn't take damage there. Because I'm gonna tell you, definitely looked like I was gonna take damage there. Oh, what the frick? This is absurd. Okay. He's losing his mind. Okay. Things are fine. Just remember, you can dash through shots. Just like that. I will say that it's a little janky to dodge at times. Little janky to dodge. But not too bad. You cure, I give a heart, you cure my negative effects. So look, I don't really have the hearts to do that. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm extremely close to dead. I do have the money for this, though, so give me this, because this looks like... Never mind, this Kissy Tooth. Fire and attack that charms an enemy. Really thought that was perhaps going to be a heal, because it looked healy to me. It looked like it had some healing potential. Okay, this is a boss fight, man. I'm not prepared for this. You think I'm prepared for a damn boss fight? What do you think I am? It's a lot. It's just too many bullets. It's just too many bullets on the screen. It's a lot of bullets. Okay. You know what? We made it one floor further than the last time. I've unlocked the combo system. An optional mechanic but rewards minor buffs to a fast and aggressive playstyle. No. Okay? It's a fun idea, but I'm nowhere close. I'm nowhere close to tackling a combo system. I don't even have the regular system figured out, let alone the combo system. So send me back in for another one here. See what there is to see. What do you got? An abscess. I completely disregarded what this is. Enemy bullets have a chance to leave a poison trail, but enemies have a 50% chance to start poisoned. Probably should not try to do that yet. Still got no clue what's going on in here. I mean, literally no clue what's going on in there. You guys are... Wait a minute. This is the number of pinks. So that's 6. Okay. This is 6. That is 6. Guaranteed. This is my hearts -1. This is 3. This is 20, because it's the maximum amount on the thing. And then this is a random number. So click. Ow. I don't know what you are. God, I really thought that I had this one figured out. Maybe it's this that I have messed up. I don't know, man. I'll figure it out eventually. Someday we'll learn. What the frick is this? Ah, okay, never mind. It's good. Some items. Drooly Buddy. Make spit for every Drooly Buddy when taking damage. Why not, right? Goop Shell. Chance for your next shotgun shot to be free. Okay. And farts. Charge up a fart with the shoot button. Surprised it took 263 upgrades to get a fart power up. Amazing. Okay. Keep it going. Is Toothman? We've learned who you are. And then, oh, he gave me a free upgrade a second ago. I should probably go back and get that. Okay. Don't ever do that ever again to me. Don't ever do that ever again. Just send the teeth at him, man. We can do some nice shooting with the teeth, make things good. This is a little zappy zap. Electric lumps. Polymps shoot lightning when jumped on. I wish I knew what a polymp was. Are you a polymp? Are you a polymp? Nope, you are not a polymp. That's fine. I also have been oh god, jump back into here. I've been neglecting these X's on the ground. Any X's on the ground out here for any of y'all? No X's, not feeling it. How about an X down here? Not feeling it. Okay, fair enough. I'll leave. I'll just go die. That's fine. You want me to die? I'll go die. And the dying is going to basically be waking up this son of a gun, because I don't really see any way that I successfully win this one. Just kidding. Maybe I will. Okay. Beautiful dodge. It's an incredible bit of dodging. The enemy is leaving a poisonous trail, which is something to keep in mind. Get on the wall, man. Get on the wall. Great shot. Great shot. Jump. We smacking. He's insane. He's the greatest gamer. Get on the wall. While you're on the wall, he can't hurt you. I think maybe something like that. Dude, do you see how much HP this son of a gun has? I'm trying to kill him. He's got more health than freaking the witness in Binding of Isaac Anti-Birth. / Repentance, to be fair, but they changed the name of it. Get in the air. Jump. You can't jump. I've used all my jumps. Okay. It's all good. He's doing some sicko mode attacks. Why does every boss fight feel like I'm fighting the final boss of the game, man? They're brutal. I've unlocked monster pores. Okay. Here's stars. Stunned enemies shoot lasers when no longer stunned or on death. What the frick? It's just a lot. I've unlocked the crown. Defeat a boss with only 1 HP left. There's so much. Okay. I'll just leave. Take me to the next floor, please. Get some good stuff going. I'll skip the intro. Take me to the goop canals. I will learn, man. I will learn. You were stunned for a second and now you're not. Okay, that's fine. Into the unknown. Hypothermia. Frozen enemies spew bullets, but enemies freeze the first time they're hit. Okay. That seems fine to me. We could cure it. Never mind. I'm on 1 health. I ain't curing crap. I will not be curing anything at the current moment in time. Jump. Send it. Send it again. Jump back down. That was clean. That was very clean. I think I need to use my wall dashing and my jumping to my advantage a little bit more, right? Because it is crazy good to use it, but I'm misusing it. We get that like nice timeout, right? Okay, jump over here, please. When we don't know where to go, just jump the hell out of the way, right? No, don't do that. The movement is still it's wacky. It's wacky movement. Oh, what the frick was that, dude? Did you see that? Get off the wall, dummy. Okay. Send it. And send it. And send it again. Just kidding. Shotgun. Okay. Little syringe. Can you give me some health back? I'm just looking a shred of health. I'm not asking for much. Just a tiny bit to get me going. Great shot. Get on the wall. Beautiful. Beautiful. That was clean. Or clean enough, I suppose. Take ya. Teeth shatters. Fragile teeth. I'm also a little infected. Would love to know what that means. It would be sick if I had any clue what the frick that meant. But we still out here figuring out the thick of it right now. Can you know what? The easiest way to kill so far, from what I've seen, is just jump in the air. Take care of it yourself. I healed. Why did I heal? I don't know why I healed. And I know I can take care of those guys just by tapping my damn screen. Doing a little wall run. He's starting to get it. I'm gonna tell you. Okay, little spicy in here though. Yo, what the frick? These guys are going crazy. He's going insane. And I'm out here still not taking damage. It's Toothman again. Give me my upgrade, please. We love to see it. Shotgun's hammer. More shots, pretty smile. Send it. Send it, and then kill him. He's literally dead, dude. He's so good. How did I get so good at the game all of a sudden? I'm actually nuts. I'm gonna not hit that though. just as a nice little best rule of thumb, I'm gonna not hit the thing that has a chance to murder me. Okay. That's a brain. Guaranteed 100% that is a brain. And I am here to take care of business with this brain. Do not kill me, and I won't kill you. Let's jump and head back to... No, I don't really want to go there. I want to go here, right? Because then here's our boss fight, and I'm ready to fight Dracula, or whoever this is. Let's jump. Couple small taps on you. Shotguns. Just send all of them out, right? I got 20 shotgun kills, so the game loves me again. Okay, you're having a good time. Get on the wall. Okay. What's going on? Lot of stuff. Lot of stuff going on. Just handle the wall as if it's your friend. Okay. Handle the wall as if it's your friend. You're doing some laser beam shooting. I'm not sweating it. Okay. I'm looking at his HP. To be honest with you, feeling pretty good about it. Feeling very good about it. Just let him do him. Okay? Let him do him. I can jump. Send it. Beautiful. Get on the wall. Come on over. Huge smack. Huge smack. Shotgun. Huge smack. Little roll. Get back on the wall. Come over to here. The movement, man. It's crazy. I can see people that are way better at games than me. This is like made for them. How did I take damage? I thought I was fine. Okay, we got a medical mask. The mask prevent diseases from spawning. Well, at least we know where the dev stands on this issue. We also unlocked an X-ray for flawlessing that boss. Can you believe it? My ass just flawlessed the boss. Kind of nuts. We're in the factory lobe now, and I just got a plus 15 damage up, perhaps? Is that accurate? Okay, well, immediately I died as well. But you know what? Not too bad, okay? Not too bad. We got there in the end. They also made too many puns, so that's good. Frankly, I'm pleased. I'm pleased. This is Cavity Busters. Check this one out. You can find a link in the description down below. Now on consoles as well. Definitely give it a look if you enjoy The Binding of Isaac and other roguelike dungeon crawlers like it. We may play a little bit more depending on how you guys feel about it. I actually had a blast, and I would like to keep on playing. I think I finally have the movement down in this game. So maybe we can get some good runs going. Thanks so much for watching. As always, like on the video, much appreciated. See you in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
เข้าใจมา
Recently, I saw a webcomic by an artist who goes by the name of False Knees on Instagram. The comic is of two crows that are flying side by side, and one asks the other if they think they are best friends in every universe. The panels then separate to show the crows side by side across hundreds, if not thousands, of parallel universes. If you haven't seen it already, it's super cute, so be sure to go give the original artist some love. That said, this webcomic sparks an idea in my head for a game. And with Valentine's Day exactly 2 weeks away at the time of recording this video, I think there's no better time for me to get to work on it. The idea for this project is a local co-op game in which you and your friend or partner will need to work together to reconnect a bunch of random, cute little characters. I don't want to keep you here for too long though, so instead of yapping around about the idea, how about I just show you? So go grab some snacks, get cozy, and join me in the creation of my new game called Together in Every Universe. Whenever I start a new project, the first thing I like to do is brainstorm ideas. So I got to work on my iPad and started to draw out all the possible levels for this game. I want to make a minimum 5 levels, and depending on how long each of them take, I can increase the size of this project as I go. For local co-op games, there are certain limitations on what you can and can't do. For example, in Fireboy and Water Girl, probably the most famous local co-op game ever made, each player only has 4 keys, either W, A, S, and D, or the arrow keys. What this essentially means is that the levels can't be too complex, as introducing new keys will be confusing for the players. Regardless of that, I'll definitely try to make each level unique and as fun as possible. With all that said, it's probably about time I get into some actual programming. So armed with a couple of cleaned up sketches I've just made, let's open up Unity and get started. So I figured that while these time lapses are playing, rather than just boosting up the music, I'll try and explain each level. For this first level, you and your friend will need to carefully time when you press your buttons, as the aim is to get the 2 little meteors to collide in the middle for a hug. This level required a fair bit of maths to get working, which normally I would hate, but I actually didn't have a massively tough time with this. So maybe that shows development on my half, or maybe I just got lucky and by some miracle it worked first time. And for the second level, we have 2 rocks again. I know it's not very creative considering the last level was pretty much exactly the same, but I'll probably switch up the order in which the levels are played for the final game, since I'm only really programming these in the order I did the art. I think it's pretty obvious what the aim for this level is, but for anyone that hasn't guessed already, you basically need to roll your rock down the hill at the same time as your friend so that they collide in the middle. For level 3, I decided it was about time to move away from rocks. And what's further from rocks than paper? This level is about making sure a paper plane letter avoids clouds and birds that are flying towards it, and that it gets to the goal at the end of the level. To do this, one player will control the upward movement of the plane, while the other controls its downward movement. I actually scrapped the trees at some point in this project, so this level ends up looking a whole lot different from what you see here, but unfortunately, I don't have any footage to show for that. Moving on to level 4, I decided I wanted to create something completely new and different from what I was used to. In my head, this level was going to be an awesome rhythm/guitar hero game, and I quickly realised that it was way out of my comfort zone. For that reason, if any of you are looking at my code here and wondering what in the world is this guy doing, don't judge me, I got it working in the end, and it's actually become my favourite level so far. The code here uses a simple coroutine to spawn the blocks in at random intervals. Then, when the player clicks the key that represents the highest block, it will call a distance check function, and if the block and the key are within a certain distance of each other, then the duck will go forward, and if the player misses, then the duck will go back. Level 5 is up next, and while creating the art for this level, my iPad died midway. Luckily, my girlfriend was more than excited to finish it off for me, so while I was recording the footage you see here, she was working in the background to finish up the scene. The art you see in this clip ends up getting mostly replaced, and I'll put a little video up of the final level design now, just so you get a better idea of the level. Programming wise, unfortunately I was back to more maths. Creating the arc for the frog's movement was a pain, but weirdly enough actually super satisfying when I got it working. I also added a bit of a squash and stretch animation to the mushrooms, which I think gave it a really nice bouncy effect and brought the entire scene together. For level 6, the aim of the game is to help one little ant climb from the bottom of a tree to the top, in the hopes of finding their date. Their date just so happens to be an exact clone of them that's flipped on the y-axis, but we can ignore that for now. Leaves fall from the top of the tree, and colliding with them sends your ant tumbling down. The keen-eyed of you might actually notice that in this level, the ant doesn't move up at all, but instead the tree and all the other assets move down. There isn't really any real reason for this, besides meaning that I get to reduce the code just a tiny bit, but some of you might find that interesting. As I was moving on to level 7, I realised that I was running low on steam for all of the art. Obviously you guys haven't seen the quote-unquote behind the scenes for each of these levels, and while programming only takes around 20 to 30 minutes per level, the art takes twice that, if not even more. For that reason, this will probably be the final level I draw out, at least for this video. That said, I have absolutely fallen in love with this project. I think it's super cute and has loads of potential for future updates, so who knows what might happen in the future. The video isn't over just yet. There's still tons of polish to be done, for instance sound design, music, and a menu system, and all the other things like that. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that this is my least favourite part of game dev, so strap in for a potentially awful ride. I'm going to do all of you a huge favour here and cut out the boring bulk of everything I did for polish. I'll just show you the basic scripts as well as an example of how each of those look in action. To start here, I whipped up a super simple scene transition script. I used async scene loading to make the swaps between scenes super seamless, as the scene will preload in the background of the level you're currently playing to reduce the potential stuttering of loading the scene all in one go. I then created a little input prompter script which allows the user to see which keys they'll be using in their current level. I also made it such that at the start of every level, the game will be paused until one of the player actually clicks one of their keys, meaning that they're ready to play. This just means that as you go between each level, you don't get thrown straight into the action, and also means I can add a little written tip to explain the current level to the player. For audio, I found a super awesome tool on itch.io called Chiptone, which allows you to generate random noises, which I used for the win and lose states of each level. If any of you are ever in need of some 8-bit audio clips, be sure to check this out, and I'll leave a link in the description below. With audio now sorted, here's a quick clip of the updated levels, with all the scripts you just saw properly implemented. You can see here that when we first load into the game, there's a little tip at the bottom of the level to explain the aim. Above both the players, you will also see a sprite that represents the button you will be using throughout the current level. If I go ahead and mess up here and my meteors don't collide, then the level simply restarts, prompting you to try again. If you do manage to make the meteors collide, however, you can see that the screen faces black and then loads into the next scene. With each scene now connecting to the next, and all of the polish now out of the way, I'm super excited to show off the final version of this project. I'm going to go ahead and call my girlfriend over and have her record a playthrough of the game with me. Thankfully, she has basically been my test subject throughout this entire project, so we shouldn't mess up too many times. With that said, I hope you enjoy.
When I was in middle school, I discovered a free online graphing calculator called Desmos, and I spent hours just plugging in different things to see what shapes I could get. That's maybe a weird pastime, but I guess I'm a mathematician. Anyway, I naturally became well acquainted with the shapes of all the most common functions, and most of these shapes make sense if you stop and think about the functions for a second. But one exception to this is the factorial function, which completely defied my expectations and refused to make sense no matter how hard I thought about it. To make sure that we're all on the same page, the factorial of a number, denoted by an exclamation point, is the product of all the whole numbers up to and including that number. This is really not a complicated definition at all. Here are the first few factorials. Also, 0 factorial is 1, which is a bit weird, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, this definition only works if you plug a whole number into it. If I asked for 3.5 factorial, You can't multiply the first 3.5 whole numbers because that doesn't even make sense. So the obvious graph of this function is just a collection of disconnected points. But evidently, mathematicians have found a way to extend this to any number, and apparently when you do so, this simple function turns into this not-so-simple shape. I spent a lot of time trying to understand where the shape came from, and it would be years before I found a satisfactory answer. So, the purpose of this video is to share that answer with you by deriving it from the ground up. But before we start, a couple quick notes. First, this video is sort of a sequel to my previous one, where I extended another sequence called the harmonic numbers to the reals. We'll be directly applying the process we learned in that video, but we'll have to add in a couple new techniques to make it work here. I'll still build it all from the ground up, so that video isn't a prerequisite to this one, but if you ever feel like you're missing some context, it might be worth giving it a watch. Second, if you've taken a decent amount of calculus, you might be familiar with this function. This is a representation of the solution we're looking for, and if you're familiar with integration by parts, it won't be too hard to prove this for yourself. But before you get mad at me for spoiling the ending, this is not the formula we will discover in this video. We will be deriving a completely different formula for the same function. See, even though it's easy to prove that this integral works, it's very hard to derive. It's normally handed down to you by your omniscient textbook, which doesn't really answer the question of where it came from in the first place. In my opinion, the journey is often more satisfying than the destination, so I'll derive the other form of the solution, which historically predates this one anyway. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get to solving. Our goal is to figure out how to extend the definition of the factorials to take in any number instead of just integers. Or visually, we're trying to connect all the points on the graph of the factorial in some natural way. Now, this is kind of an open-ended problem, because we could just draw any curve that passes through all the points, but then why would we have chosen that curve instead of any of the other infinitely many curves? How do we know which one is right? Well, hopefully this isn't too unsatisfying, but we'll decide what's right. Well, I'll decide what's right. You don't have a say, sorry. We'll discover a couple properties of the function that can be extended easily, and I will decree that our extension must adhere to those. But if I'm deciding what's right, what if you disagree with my decisions? Well, this doesn't mean that anyone is right or wrong about it. It just means that you might follow your instincts to find a different solution than the one I will. Remember that the fact that there are multiple solutions does not invalidate any of the cool math that arises from any one of them. So here's the first step. Remember that n factorial is equal to 1 times 2 times 3 all the way up to n. But take a look at all of these terms except for the last. This is just n minus 1 factorial. So we can substitute n minus 1 factorial in, and we're left with a neat little recursive formula. Given that we already know the factorial of one number, this formula can give us the next, or previous, factorial. For a quick example, if all that I know is that 4 factorial is 24, I can plug in 4 for n, and correctly see that 3 factorial is 6. Or I could plug in 5 for n, and it falls out that 5 factorial is 120. Remember how I mentioned that 0 factorial equals 1? Well, there are a couple explanations as to why, but in my opinion, this recursive formula gives the most natural explanation. Plug in 1 for n, and it falls out that 0 factorial must equal 1. Now, the reason I care about this formula so much is that it's really easy to extend it to any number. Just plug any number in. Now, to be clear, we cannot prove that this equation holds for non-integers, and that's simply because we don't yet have any definition of the factorials for non-integers. So this is actually my first subjective decision. I hereby decree that this formula should work for any number, integer or otherwise. To signify this leap, I'll replace the n's with x's. To see why this is useful, pretend that we've decided on the value of the factorial of some non-integer number. For example, I'll pretend that there's a point on the function right here. We can use this formula to find the points 1 unit to the left and 1 unit to the right. But then we can repeat it with these new points, and we can continue out as far as we want. Of course, I just chose this first point at random, so these are all wrong. But This demonstrates that the recursive formula dictates the values of infinitely many points from just one, no matter where that one point is. This is huge, because now all we need to do is decide on the curve for one interval 1 unit long, and as we sweep our point across it, the other points will trace out the rest of the function. Also, note that we've already introduced the craziness in the negative numbers. This is because when we try to find -1 factorial, we end up having to divide by 0, which introduces a vertical asymptote. And this division by 0 never disappears as we keep going to the left, so we see a repeated asymptote for every negative integer. We just saw how it's useful to repeatedly apply the recursive formula, but our lives would be a lot easier if we had a single expression that could do this in one step. We can derive such a formula like this. We make a bunch of copies of the recursive formula. In the first, we substitute x plus 1 for x. In the second, we substitute x plus 2, in the third, x plus 3, and so on. Now, each formula references the one above it. For example, the x plus 2 line has x plus 1 factorial in it. So we can substitute the first line in. And then, the next line has x plus 2 factorial in it, so we can do it again, and so on. We can repeat as many times as we want, but I'm gonna stop after 5 so I don't run out of space. The pattern should be pretty clear here. To get x plus 5 factorial, we start with x factorial, then multiply by x plus 1, then x plus 2, and keep going until x plus 5. We can condense this process by writing it like this, and finally, since the pattern is clear, I'll just replace the 5 with an n. I like to call this the super recursive formula, but that's not a term you're going to find in a textbook. This notation is a little less common than summation notation, so I guess I'll formally introduce it. This symbol is the Greek letter pi. Well, it's the capital pi. The lowercase version is more famous. But this notation has nothing to do with circumferences or areas of circles. When written like this, it means to evaluate f at all the whole numbers from a to b, and to multiply them all together. So it's the exact same thing as the more common sigma notation, except with multiplication instead of addition. In fact, pi is the Greek version of p for product, and sigma is the Greek version of s for sum. Which isn't really important, but the more you know, right? Anyway, so far we've been doing exactly what we did with the harmonic numbers. And with the harmonic numbers, the next step was to notice that as we moved really far to the right, the points all flattened out. And we could use that observation to fully extend the function. But when we try this with the factorials, things don't quite work the same way. When we move to the right, it doesn't take too long to realize we have a problem. The factorial function does not flatten out. In fact, it does the exact opposite. It grows incredibly fast. It takes all this time just to reach 5 factorial, and it only grows faster from there. Even if I squish the graph way down so that the previous values are all on the screen, 6 factorial is still through the roof. Here's another way to put into perspective how huge the factorials are. 10 factorial is well into the millions. 70 factorial is, well, too big to fit on the screen. In fact, it has 100 digits, making it bigger than one Google. This is so huge that your fancy handheld graphing calculator will probably throw an error when you try to compute it. Obviously, we need some way to tame the beast. Well, when you think about it, the reason the factorials grow so fast is because they are repeated multiplication. Every time you multiply by a number, you're multiplying the cumulative effect of all the other numbers you've already multiplied. So, of course, it spirals out of control. If we were instead adding a number each time, we would expect something much more reasonable. But what good does it do to dream about having a sum instead of a product? The factorials are defined as a product, and that's that. Or is it? There actually is a tool that turns products into sums. The logarithm. Any logarithm will do, but I'll use the natural logarithm, which we write as ln of x. I'm not going to give a big lecture on logarithms, but in case you're a bit rusty, the natural logarithm is the inverse of the exponential function e to the x. Exponentials have these two properties, and from these, we can derive these two properties of logarithms. This first property is the one we want right now. A multiplication inside the logarithm is equal to a sum of logarithms. So here's what we'll do. We can take the log of the factorial, and applying this rule, all the multiplications become additions between the logs. I'll use sigma notation to condense this sum. Now I can do the same for the recursive formula as well. And finally, I'll give the same treatment to the super recursive formula. Naturally, turning products into sums turns pi notation into sigma notation. So now we have a completely new set of equations with additions instead of multiplications. Since these all describe the log of n factorial, I'll call the log of n factorial capital L of n, just to clean up our equations a bit. So here's the goal. We'll try to find a way to extend capital L of n, and then we'll be able to exponentiate it, which will undo the logarithm and leave us with the factorials. So graphing our L function, we can already see that it's much better behaved than the factorials were. Sure, it doesn't flatten out, so it'll be a bit tougher than the harmonic numbers, but it grows at a pretty reasonable rate. In fact, the further I go, the more the points seem to approach a perfectly straight line. This is actually the observation that allows us to define the factorial for non-integers. After all, it's really easy to extend a line to the reals, just draw a straight line through the dots. Once again, I can't prove that a line is the one true solution, because any periodic shape would fit perfectly well with all the equations we have so far. So this will be another subjective decision on my part. To symbolically express this linearity, note that on a line, the height difference between any two adjacent points is equal. If we can calculate this slope, we can multiply it by the horizontal distance from a known point, and we get the value of any point on the line. Now, we still need to prove that our L function really does become linear. We've moved pretty far on this graph, so I'll call the horizontal position of this point capital N. Capital N is just a placeholder for an arbitrarily large integer. Now, if we plug big N into the recursive formula, we get that the height difference between this point and its predecessor is the natural log of capital N. And doing this for the next few points yields the log of n plus 1, the log of n plus 2, and so on. So we can say that these points are all pretty much in a line if their height differences, these logarithms, are all pretty much equal to each other. It's tempting to do this by taking the limit of the natural log of n as n approaches infinity, but there's one slight issue. This limit doesn't actually exist. Logarithms do grow extremely slowly, but they still never stop creeping up without bound. This means that the slope of our function sort of gets infinitely steep, which sadly means our geometric intuition has kind of reached its end. But fret not, there's still a precise sense in which these logarithms are all pretty much equal. I'll condense this whole expression by saying that the log of n is approximately equal to the log of n plus k, where k is a decently small integer. What we can do is take the limit of the difference between the two sides as n goes to infinity, and if this limit is 0, that gives us a precise sense in which these two logarithms are pretty much equal. Now, I've already shown that adding two logarithms is the same as multiplying their contents, but it's also true that subtracting two logarithms is the same as dividing their contents. We can then do a little bit of fiddling, and we're left with the log of 1 plus k over n. As n increases without bound, the k becomes negligible compared to it, so we're left with just the log of 1, which is equal to 0. So there, we've proved that these logarithms are pretty much equal. Alright, we're almost there. Let's plug in capital N for x in our super recursive formula. This gives us the value of our function for any point after capital N. But see how we have the log of big N plus k inside of this sum? This is what we just showed is pretty much equal to the log of big N, so we can just substitute that in, giving us our linear approximation. And with that done, the sigma notation becomes overkill. We're just adding the log of big N to itself little n times, which is precisely the same as multiplying it by little n. And just like magic, this formula no longer requires little n to be an integer. Once again, this isn't something we can prove, so I hereby decree that this holds for any number. And to signify this, I'll once again replace the little n's with x's. And now, we're just a few manipulations away from an extended definition of capital L. We'll substitute in the super recursive formula for L of n plus x, and we'll substitute in the original definition of L for L of n. Then we can move things around a bit to isolate the L of x. Since these two summations both go from 1 to n, we can combine them, and then we can use our log, subtraction, division trick to make it a bit nicer. Finally, to express the fact that this approximation gets better and better as n gets larger, we take the limit as n goes to infinity, and then it becomes a true equality. Now, go ahead and breathe a sigh of relief, because we did it. We have a formula for capital L that works for any x. But before I move on, I want to point out that I used a squiggly equals sign, and then I just asserted that it becomes a true equality as n approaches infinity. If that makes you a bit uncomfortable, don't worry. I did it this way in hopes that the motivation for all the steps would be a bit more clear. You can do this more rigorously, but you have to do kind of a complicated dance with limits of differences, and it's much harder to understand the why behind it. But if you really want to see the whole process, I've got you covered. Feel free to pause and verify each step, or if you're less hardcore, just sit back and enjoy the animations. Alright, we have our solution, let's graph it. As I plug in larger values for n, the curve becomes closer and closer to the points, and in the limit, it interpolates them perfectly. So now that we've solved our L function, we're pretty much done. Remember that this is the natural log of the factorial function. To undo a logarithm, just exponentiate it. And finally, we can use the properties of exponents to make this formula less ugly. This x log of n turns into n to the x, and remembering that the logarithm turned our product into a sum of logs, exponentiating turns this sum of logs into a product. And with that, we've got our beautiful generalized formula for x factorial. To quickly recap what we constrained to get this one solution, our solution is the only function that matches the normal factorials on some point, adheres to the recursive formula for all x, and has a logarithm that becomes more like a line as x gets larger. To be mathematical about this last point, we could write it as this limit that we came across in our derivation. Or, one neater way would be to say that the second derivative of the log of the factorial must approach 0. But the standard condition that you'll likely see in textbooks is that the function must be logarithmically convex for positive x. A function is logarithmically convex if its logarithm is convex. Go figure. This is just a fancy way of saying that the second derivative of its logarithm is positive. Now, it's not super obvious that this condition locks us into the same function, but I have other things I'd like to get to, so I guess I'll leave this as an exercise for anyone who wants to try it out. Now, I'd love to take credit for this function, but I missed my shot by a couple hundred years. The interpolation of the factorials is often attributed to Leonhard Euler, who published the result in 1729. You might recognize this name. He's one of the biggest superstars of math. In fact, it's joked that we name things after the second person who discovered them, because the first person is always Euler. But actually, in this case, Euler was the second person. The first officially written solution was by his friend Daniel Bernoulli, who beat him to the punch by literally 1 week. Bernoulli's solution is a bit of a variation, and it actually converges faster too, though at the cost of being more complicated. But Euler went further. He wanted to find an expression that used an integral instead of an infinite product. And sure enough, after a few months, he published this beautiful result. And this can be transformed by a simple u substitution into the integral that I teased at the beginning of the video. Now, to prove that these two expressions are actually equal is not an easy task. Or, if there is an easy way, it's escaped me so far. But for the rest of this video at least, I'll continue using the product definition. Now, the extended factorials usually aren't denoted by an exclamation mark. You might see capital pi of x instead. But far more common is the gamma function, which is the same thing, just shifted one unit to the right. From my searching on the internet, it seems to be up for debate whether this actually makes things prettier or messier. But at least for this video, the pi function is cleaner because we don't have these x minus 1s everywhere. I'll also still use the exclamation point, just because we're used to it, and I'm making the video, so I make the rules. There's one last really cool thing I want to share, and it reveals itself when we take the logarithmic derivative of our function. The logarithmic derivative is the derivative of the logarithm, as you might guess. This may seem like a random thing to do, but remember, this is what we'd have to do if we wanted to prove that our function is logarithmically convex. Anyway, recall that the logarithm of the factorial is just our L function, so we can substitute our solution for the L function, and then take the derivative from there. Now, it's not too hard to carry this out. We just have to distribute the derivatives throughout, and then the x log of n becomes log of n. Now we can split up the logarithms in the sum, and this first one is just a constant, so its derivative vanishes. For the second one, the derivative of the natural log of x is just 1 over x, so we get 1 over x plus k. Now here is where a miracle happens. I'm going to bring up the topic of my last video, the harmonic numbers, just one last time. The nth harmonic number is defined as the sum of the first n reciprocals, which we can write like this. In my last video, we found that this formula extends that definition to non-integers. But notice that the harmonic numbers and the logarithmic derivative of the factorials both have this minus 1 over x plus k in this sum. It's kind of looking like there might be a connection here. So I'm going to do the classic trick of add and subtract the same thing to introduce this sum into our formula. The reason I did that is so that I can combine these two sums, and now I've introduced the harmonic numbers into our expression. And this leftover sum is just the plain old discrete harmonic number of n. But now that h of x doesn't depend on n anymore, I can take it out of the limit. But now if we look at what's left in the limit, that only depends on n and not on x at all, which means it must be a constant. I'll represent this constant with the Greek letter gamma, and if we calculate it, we find that it's about 0.577. Bringing this constant back into our expression, we get one of my favorite plot twists in math. The logarithmic derivative of the factorial function is the harmonic numbers, minus this constant. At the end of my last video, I mentioned that the harmonic numbers are a shifted copy of a function called the digamma function. Well, what that function is defined as is the logarithmic derivative of the gamma function, so that's where the connection comes from. Now, this gamma constant was first discovered by, you guessed it, Leonhard Euler, so it's often called Euler's constant, though its full name is the Euler-Mascheroni constant, which adds the name of the mathematician who first calculated it to 32 decimal places. Now, it's natural to ask, is this number rational? Is it transcendental? Can it be made from some combination of e and pi and numbers like that? Actually, nobody knows. This is an especially mysterious number because it hasn't yet been proven if it's rational or not. Now, there's a lot more that can be said about this constant and the factorials and the harmonic numbers, a little bit of which is even within my understanding. But I think this is a pretty good place to end things for now. I think I've shown enough cool math, and I've definitely given myself enough editing work to do. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another coding tutorial. I promised this. I'm not going to go back on my promise. I promised you guys that I would show you one final coding tutorial video, at least for the time being. We're obviously going to have more of them way long in the future, but for right now, one now. We're going to look at using lists that we did use in the last video. I know it's been like a month, but lists that we used in the last video, let's use them to make the Wheel of Isaac that we use in Discord. It's going to be a little bit different because I'm not going to use Discord's API for this. That would just be a little bit ridiculous, but I am going to show you basically the gist of how you would go about doing it. It's pretty easy, and I think you guys are going to genuinely find some good use out of this. So let's open up our coding window here. I'm just going to do a little transition over to there. Look at that smooth transition. And let's start typing. So using what we've learned, let's do a couple of things here. We're going to need the Wheel of Isaac, okay? And the Wheel of Isaac, as we all know, contains all of the different things that we can possibly spin. So let's put in there the Wheel of God. I'm just going to do a couple examples here. The Wheel of Poo-Poo, and also the Wheel of, I don't know, Eyes, okay? You could put more stuff in here, but let's just say it's those for the time being. Then we also need to, of course, define what those wheels are going to be. So we'll make the Wheel of God here a list and say, okay, in the Wheel of God we have Godhead, we have 20, 20, and we have proptosis, okay? And then the Wheel of Poo-Poo, gotta make sure we add our underscore right there so that it's all one word. The Wheel of Poo-Poo is going to be, I don't know, the poop. We have Strange Attractor, and we'll put in Butterbean. Why not? I'm doing this all from head right now, so don't think too much of what's going on here. Wheel of Eyes, finally, will be our final list that we have to do. And in the Wheel of Eyes, we obviously have 2020, Inner Eye, and Mutant Spider. Perfect. So there we go. Obviously, you would have more stuff in there if you want to have more stuff in there. But for right now, for example's sake, this will do just fine here. So then what do we have to do? Well, first of all, as coding practices should be, I'm going to make this a function, and we're going to call this our main function here. Perfect. And then we will have all of this stuff in here. I do have to add in our little open brackets there. And then we got to do our thing here. So let's make a while loop that just says while true. That way this will just run forever. We're going to ask the user, we're going to print and say, what would you like to spin? Okay? And then we're actually going to do a input on that. Just got to make sure we line this up correctly. So input, what would you like to spin? And then we'll make sure we put a space after it. That's going to allow the user to actually input something, but we have to save whatever that input is. So we'll just say that's a keyword. Choice. How about that? Choice is equal to input of what would you like to spin. And then we take that and we basically just do a if-else block here. So if our choice is equal to Wheel of God, and what you could basically say here is, instead of doing it like that, basically make the user, this is how I do it on the Discord, make them do something along the lines of God for Wheel of God, else if, it's elif in Python. It's been a little while, okay? Elif if choice is equal to poo-poo, then do something. And then obviously elif choice is equal to eyes, then do the wheel of eyes here. That's basically how that's gonna go. And then we'll also just do a little error checking. So else, if you didn't pick one of those, then print out to the user, you didn't pick a wheel that was there. Essentially, pretty straightforward. And then we actually have to do the randomizing here. So if the choice is equal to God, we want to come up here, we want to import random, because we want to be able to use a random number generator type thing here. Come down here and say random, we'll call it num is equal to random dot randint between 0 and the length of the wheel of God. So essentially what that's going to do is going to say, okay, so the length of wheel of God is 3. So this is going to pick a random number between 0 and 3. Now, you're probably sitting here going, Tyler, that's not going to work. You're right. We got to put length of wheel of God minus 1. Because if we did 3, then if we come to this next block, and we'll actually, like, I'll do a little test run here to show you why this won't work. So we'll change it back to be just length here. And then we'll say to print out wheel of God at num. Okay? And then for the sake of what's going on here, I'm just going to copy and paste this real quick. And we're going to, oh, yeah, I'll just add another line. We'll say num is equal to 3. Now, this is not going to be there, but I just want to show you why this will break if we keep it at length of wheel of God. So we do this. Oh, I was going to yell at me for not having this stuff filled out yet. So just give me one hot second. We're just going to put some passes in here. That should be good now. I never ran the function. Okay, give me one sec. Main. And beautiful. Now it will run. And we're good. So what would you like to spin? That's a great question. I would love to spin the wheel of God. Okay? And then it crashes because the list index is out of range because we're trying to access the third position of the wheel of God, which doesn't exist because if you remember, you always index arrays at 0. So we have 0, 1, 2. So you got to do the length of the wheel of God minus 1 here. Now we can test this, and it's going to work pretty much as straightforward as one human being can think here. What would you like to spin? The wheel of God. We got 2020. What would you like to spin? I would love to spin the wheel of God. We got proptosis. What would you like to spin? The wheel of God. We got Godhead. It's kind of ironic we got all 3 of them in a row. There's proptosis again. There's proptosis again. Proptosis again. Godhead. Godhead. 2020. Proptosis. You can kind of see how this works. It's pulling a random thing from that list. So we can basically just copy and paste exactly this into these 2 spots as well. And it's going to do exactly the same exact thing, except we just want to make sure we do this here. So instead, that's going to be wheel of poo-poo. Instead, this is going to be eyes. And then instead here, this is going to be poo-poo. And instead here, this is going to be eyes. That's the entire program. That is literally all the Discord Wheel of Isaac is doing, is this right here. Many people are like, yo, it's so cool, it's so unique, it's so strange. This is it. It's basically just a lot of if-else statements here that are in there. Now, this is going to be some exploration here. If I import Discord, I think I have to download it separately. Yeah, no module named Discord. Can I install a package Discord? No. Obviously, I don't know what I'm doing with this. But how it would work if you had Discord installed is there's a function called self.bot. And it's essentially like self.bot.await. And then you could say, pick a wheel, blah, blah, blah. And then upon picking that wheel, this will print it to the screen. It's a little bit different working with Discord's API. But if you just wanted to make your own Wheel of Isaac program, here it is. I mean, this is literally just exactly it. Pretty straightforward. I'm trying to think of what else you could even add. So I suppose if choice, we should have another elif in here that says elif choice is equal to the Wheel of Isaac, actually. Then Then you have a big if statement in here that says, well, first we gotta print num is equal to random dot random. Okay, just copy and paste it, Tyler. What you doing right now? Copy and paste this bad boy to here. Change this to be Wheel of Isaac. Change this to be Wheel of Isaac. And then we can do a little print statement. This is what I do in mine. So if, instead of printing this right here, we'll say that wheel is equal to Wheel of Isaac at the num. And then we can say that if wheel is equal to Wheel of God, then print something along the lines of use God as, and we gotta put that in single quotes here, use God type thing. And that then tells people how to actually spin the wheel of God there. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, if you really want to see, I'll continue to type out the rest of this. If wheel, no, that's not what I wanted. If wheel equals to wheel of eyes, then do print use eyes. Yeah, that's how we did it. And then finally, else, I'm not even gonna do a an elif for this one because we don't need to. Else, then print use, what is it? Poo poo. There you go. And now we can literally run this. And what we could do is we could do a clear screen down here. I forget how to do that in Python. Oh, Jesus. I don't remember how to clear screen in Python, but we could clear the screen for this. Let's bring this up here, and we can see exactly how it works. What would you like to spin? Isaac, please. So use poo-poo. What would you like to spin? Poo-poo. We got the poop. What would you like to spin? Isaac. Use God. Okay? God. We got proptosis. It's essentially exactly how it works. That's going to do it for the coding series for a little bit. We are going to do one final video that's going to be less about code and more about the math behind stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about binary and hexadecimal, which are very interesting and a lot of people have expressed interest in. So I'm happy to do that. We're going to do that, and then that's going to be the current end to the coding series. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully it helps you out. Play around with it a little bit, see what you can do, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Hello everybody and welcome to a little game showcase on a game that I honestly really like for a multitude of reasons that I'm going to get into shortly. This is Human Resource Machine. This is a game by Tomorrow Corporation, and you might recognize the artwork for this game because of World of Goo, which is a very famous game by the same company. This is one of their more recent works, and in some ways I would consider it even better than World of Goo was, and World of Goo was a really good game. So honestly, we're just gonna hop right in. I did have a employee started here. He's not very old. I literally just tested it a little bit ago to make sure that I still had it. Let's just create a new one. I gotta pick which guy we are. We'll go with this guy this time. It looks just like me. If you know me in real life, I'd say that looks pretty much absolutely nothing like me, so that's good. Here's my badge. Please proceed to the elevator. So you're probably like, Tyler, what is going on in this? First of all, there's a stupid amount of levels in this game. Like a lot of them, as you can see right here. Enough to fill a couple hours of gameplay, for sure. But we gotta start in the mailroom. All good things start in the mailroom. When you're working in a company, you always start in the mailroom. That's definitely not true, but bear with me. Right now we're starting in the mailroom. So this is our boss. This is us. Everything in the game is controlled by your mouse. You don't need to worry about your keyboard at all, at least to begin. Welcome to your first day. You look like an excellent instruction follower. That is exactly what I would consider myself. Your first job will appear over there on the right side in a little moment here. I can't wait. Remember, you can always ask me for help. Okay, so let me explain the premise of this game. This is essentially teaching computer programming in a very easy to understand basic way. Okay, we essentially have to create a program to do whatever this wants me to do. And you know, a lot of people are gonna go, okay, Tyler, this is boring, I hate it. go back to playing Isaac or else I'm going to unsubscribe. We're not doing a full series on Human Resource Machine unless you guys really freaking love this video, in which case I'd be happy to play this. But it's interesting because I like the idea of teaching programming at a younger age. And this is the kind of game where it can appeal to any age, really. And it is very easy to understand. So let's just get into the game a little bit. We have to essentially move this crap over here, over to here. And it shouldn't be that hard. So we can basically just come up here. We can grab inbox. So that's going to grab something from our in area. And then we can grab outbox. And that's perfectly fine. We'll put it over here in the outbox. And then we've got some more stuff. So we'll just do that 3 times. How does that sound? That sound good? Cool. We can run our program whenever we're ready. So we'll just run this. And now this guy's going to come over here. He puts it in the outbox. Goes back to the in. Puts it over on the outbox. Goes back to the in. And it's a shocker. He puts it back on the outbox. And we've done it. That's our program. We're happy. We've completed it. We have passed by year 1 by doing that program. That's level 1 done. It really is this simple, although they do make it significantly harder as time goes on. And you're going to see that pretty quickly because it amps up the difficulty pretty early on. So, looks like we've made it this far. Congratulations on your promotion. Thank you very much, Mr. Bossman. I don't actually know your name, but you do kind of look like Harry Potter when he got older. Most people stress out and quit before making it this far. I mean, I'm not going to say that first part was a piece of cake, but pretty much any human being can do it. Okay, we have a future in inbox-outbox management. Fantastic. Here's our new assignment. We got to grab each thing from here and drop it into the outbox. And you're probably like, okay, this is exactly the same as before. The only real ticker here is we now have jump. And jump is basically a command in this game that works like a while loop or a for loop. It's basically a loop. Those of you that are good at programming / no programming, you would understand what a loop does. So let me explain real quick. We're going to inbox, we're going to outbox, and then we're going to jump, and we're going to jump right back to the start. And it's just going to continue to do this. Pretty straightforward. Puts it on the out, jumps back to in, keeps it going. And we can make this guy walk a little bit faster here until he's actually moving so fast he doesn't even know he's alive. And that's kind of what I want. Makes things easy. Busy mailroom complete. And that's a happy-go-lucky time. You're probably sitting here going, Tyler, this is a joke of a game. This is incredibly easy. And now you're going, oh no, but what is this? And this guy also was saying, oh no, what is this? The inbox conveyor system is completely broken. It's spewing out negative 99s. Which is not exactly what we need right now. But we can't take a break from our work. We gotta do stuff. So we gotta ignore inbox. We just need to send the following 3 letters to the outbox. Okay? So we can copy stuff from the middle, which is cool. So let's copy from here. We gotta spell bug. So we'll copy from 4, and then we will outbox that. And then let's copy from 0. That sounds fine. We'll outbox that as well. And then let's copy from 3 and outbox that bad boy. And this should do exactly what we want. We copy the B, we copy the U, and then finally we copy the little G here. We spell bug, we move on with our day. Happy days at last. Okay, so this one's going fine and dandy. The next floor is actually a little bit more difficult, and it starts to get significantly harder. Starting around here. I actually had to try this one a couple of times the last time that I was playing through this. So just in time for you to get to work, data's not going to collate itself. So we got to grab the first 2 things from the inbox and then drop them into the outbox in reverse order. Okay? So we want to take the first thing. So we'll inbox that. And I want to copy that to position 0 here. Then I want to inbox the next thing, which is going to be 6. And then I want to outbox that. And then I want to copy from inbox 0. And I want to outbox that. And then I just want to continue to do this until we are done with the program. I think this is going to work. Inbox, place it there, throw it away. Put this, outbox it. And then copy from 0 and put that in there. And this should just work for the rest of the program. We'll get that all figured out. And that did everything nice, and in reverse. This becomes a lot more difficult if they make me do that where everything was reversed. That would be significantly more difficult, and I feel like that might be coming sometime soon. But for right now, it's coffee time. I'm not positive what coffee time means. Okay, we're just taking a coffee break. I'm trying to figure out where I am in this equation. I might be inside of this chick, because she looks like I could fit inside of her. Is it time for me to get my coffee? Oh, there's some news alerts. Donald Trump has a news update. Regions of the city continue to experience failure. Local authorities are investigating. That's not good at all, honestly. Oh no, we're losing power. Yo, that's not good at all. We lost some power. We also want... unlocked a career milestone. Okay, rainy summer. Let's do it. So it's year 6. I'm getting older. This guy's saying ugh. Welcome to my personal rain cloud. I'm happy to be here. I was never very good at math. Oh boy, math. Exciting. Since I only have 3 fingers on each hand. Yeah, he appears to only have 3. I hear you don't actually need to know very much about math to complete these assignments. That's good. So for each 2 things in the inbox, add them together, put the result into the outbox. Okay. It adds the contents of a tile on the floor to whatever value you're currently holding. Okay. So let's inbox the 7. We'll copy that to 0. Perfect. And then we will inbox, and we will add 0, and then we will outbox that number, and then we will just jump this bad boy. Should be pretty straightforward. This is just introducing the add function. And it's pretty cute. It adds them together, which I like. It could make for some interesting programming stuff. And I will say these are all simple functions that if you are interested in computer science, you would do this kind of stuff. It is pretty, obviously not super straightforward. I kind of want to go down this. Is this like a harder route? Let's go down the harder route. We just skipped a year, which is kind of wild. Who the hell are you? Oh, who's this chick? This optional area is for high-performing employees only. Oh, that's me, though. Oh, I'm late. 7 years late. We need to make some changes. I want to see a 100% performance increase. My performance is going to be evaluated with extra scrutiny. Well, alrighty then. So for each thing in the inbox, triple it, and then outbox the result. Okay. So let's inbox it. So we want to get 18, negative 21, 6, and then just 0. Okay? So let's inbox the 6. We will copy that to 0. And then we will add 0. And then we're going to jump back to that again and do that 3 times. Although we can't specify how many times we're going to jump. Let me think about this here. I want to step through this and see what happens here. So he does this. He does this. And he does not do anything. Okay, stop it and reset it. Let's not do that. Get rid of this jump. We don't need it. Let's add to 0 numerous times here. Let's step through and see what happens. So we got a 4. He goes there. And we do that, we get 8. Then we go there, we get 12. That's where we should stop. We do not want 16. So get rid of this add. And then we should just be able to jump this. And I think this is going to work. Oh, we need to outbox it. Do an outbox right there. Let's see what happens. This should give us 18. Output that. He's happy. Well, she's happy. She looks like the frickin' Grinch or something. Oh, that is not at all correct. Was it? Was that correct? No, that was not correct. Wait a minute. Is this correct? Maybe this is correct. I don't like the fact that the 0 took so long to do that. Was that actually correct? That was correct. I got a check mark. Use 6 or fewer commands. I use 6. Life is good. Complete in 24 or fewer steps. Well, would you look at that? I would say that I am a fantastic human being, and I deserve all of the respect in the world. Let's go to the Octuplier suite. Does that mean we need to multiply things by 8? You can always check your own performance on each assignment's optimization challenge. The 2 green lights next to each button in the elevator will tell you how you're doing. I love self-improvement. There's nothing better than that. Okay, for each thing in the inbox, multiply it by 8. And then put the result in the outbox. Okay. So we're going to inbox something. And then we're going to copy it to 0. Okay. And then we're going to add it to 0. I can't specify how many times I jump though, can I? Because this is just going to loop forever, correct? I just want to make sure about this. It's going to loop forever. We are in an infinite loop. We're just gonna loop forever. There's no stopping this guy. I do kind of want to see, like, how big these numbers will get. Yeah, overflow. Okay. I figured that probably was going to happen. We don't want to do that. Okay? Now, the question is, how do I do this? In 3 add commands. You only want to use 3 add commands. I will add it to 0. There's something going on here, okay? If we copy to 0, that's going to be 6 to 0. Then we want to add to 0, that's going to be 12. We put 12 on 1. Okay? So then copy that to position 1. And then we go and we copy from this guy. And we add it to 1. And then, okay, I might be coming up with something here. And then we copy that to 2. And then we copy from 2. And then add to 2. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, hold up. Let's figure this out here. He puts a 6 down. He adds a 6. He puts that on 12. Then he grabs the 6, comes over there, adds those together. So that's multiplied by 3. And then he copies from that, adds those together for 36. Okay. How do we do times 8? We just make this. There is a way to do this using only 3 adds. This we just do here. Will this do it 8 times? We need to get 48 as the answer here. Puts those together. And then empty value, you can't add an empty value. Okay, copy from 1 here. Okay. So this should give us 24. 6, put the 6 down. I did not want to do that. You can't add something with an empty tile. Add from... Oh, this is where my brain starts to hurt. This is why this game is a little bit more difficult than you might think. Is getting this crap to work the way that you initially want it to is incredibly difficult. We want to add to 1. Hold up. So we have a 1. We do that, we get 2. We place a 2 there, we add... We don't want to copy from there. We want to add those right there. Get rid of the copy froms. Step through. 6, add them together, 12. Throw it down, add them together, 24. Put it down, add them together, 48. Then we outbox. And those should be the 3 adds that we have. Okay? And then you outbox, and then you jump. If this doesn't work, I don't even know. This should give us 8 when all is said and done. 4 and 8. Go and output it. This is gonna work. And this is why Human Resource Machine is such a fantastic game. Because this kind of stuff, it's problem solving, man. It feels good when you do it. And they help you out a little bit. I mean, they say, can you do it in only 3 commands? Obviously, you can make one hellishly long program just doing 7 add statements or whatever the hell it is. But instead, we make a simple loop, we call it a day, and we make a nice, happy, healthy, efficient function. Did we use 9 or fewer commands? We used exactly 9. And did we do it in 36 steps? Damn straight we did, because we know that we got it correct. Do I want to try and do the last one? I'm sure maybe you want me to try the last one. I'll try the last one. Let's see what happens. What a wonderful feeling when all your work over the last few years all comes together and culminates, my bad, in a well-executed assignment. For each thing in the inbox, multiply it by 40. Holy hell. Okay, we're basically just going to write the exact same thing that we did before. So copy this to here, and then add from there. Then copy to here, add to here, 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 outbox, jump. I'm just assuming this is going to be 40, but I have no idea. So this is going to be 160 is what we should get by the end of this. We are not getting 160 from this. There's no way that's right. It expected 160, but we outboxed 128. Well, the worst part is that's not even gonna... Although if we add... Okay, hold up. So we need to go... I'm just assuming... We need to then add the last thing to this one, and that's going to multiply by 40. I might be wrong, but I think this is going to work. So 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2, 4. 4 plus 4, 8. 8 plus 8, 16. 16 plus 16, 32. 32 plus 8 is 40. I don't know how the hell I came up with that on the spot, but this should work for everything. It definitely is. This is just something that, frankly, I got very lucky with. But that's okay. That should be the most efficient way to do this. I can't imagine anything more efficient. Yeah, uses 14 commands. It does it in 56 steps. Fantastic. Continue to the elevator. Do I get anything special for doing all those? Apparently, I get a big slap in the face. What the hell do I care? Anyway, this is Human Resource Machine. And it's been a little game showcase for it. If you enjoyed this, let me know. If you really want to see me play through more, this might be a pretty good stream game to do. But if you guys really, really want a series on it, then I suppose we can maybe swing something here. It's a fun game, especially if you're looking to get into programming. I would highly recommend it, as it's fun and also very informative. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Hey, hello everybody, welcome back to a channel update. That's the word for this. I'm home from my trip. I know a ton of you in the Discord and stuff like that have been wondering. I am home, so that means that I'm back to making more content, and that means that we're back to doing another channel update video. I just wanted to give you guys a little heads up of everything that's going on here. We're going to start the schedule, and then we're going to talk about some other stuff that the title of this video already gives away. That also has to do with the thing, a giveaway. So here we go, June 2016, here's what's going on. Throw up the graphic on the screen, boom, there we go. We're going to try and do Everyday Isaac. That's going to kill me, but we're going to do it. So we're going to alternate between mod spotlights and mod pack spotlights. And then eventually we're going to drift away from the mod packs because there's really not that many to do. And instead, we're just going to do a very heavily modded regular thing. So it's going to have a bunch of the mods that we play in the mod spotlights in the actual game, and we're just going to play runs like that. I think that's going to be a fun time, just to kind of sit back and play Isaac normally again, which is something I haven't done in a really long time. We're also going to be playing some Gungeon now, just because a ton of you expressed interest in me failing at Gungeon. I'm really bad at it. I can't say how long that series is going to last, but it should be fun to play a couple of them here and there. We're going to have a new series with Mob. It's not yet determined what it is. It could be another Don't Starve. Or it could be Astroneer, it could be Terraria, I don't know yet. It's going to be something, we'll figure that out as time goes on. There is going to be a Minecraft server for the summer. I know everybody cue the boos in the comments because nobody likes Minecraft, but I do have a Minecraft server that's going to go up, and some people in the Discord are going to be a part of it. News to them because they actually don't know this yet. So if you haven't known this, then maybe I should probably cue you in on what's going on here in a little bit, but we'll figure that out as time goes on. We have Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes with Clump. That's still going to happen. And then other than that, we still have the game showcases going on, and then also the showcase series, which will be playing some of the games in the game showcase. Pretty excited for those. Those are going to be pretty neat. We also have Tyler's Choice slots, just to kind of give me a little bit of flexibility with the schedule. I know the girlfriend wants to play some games with me, and we want to record those videos. And then there are some other multiplayer stuff that I've talked about with the guys that I should be able to get out in Tyler's Choice slots. There are going to be 2 possible days for streaming, Sundays and Thursdays. And if those don't work out, then maybe a different day. I still don't really know what's going on with streams yet. I'll figure it out as time goes on, and I'll keep you guys updated in the Discord. So that's kind of the schedule. Hope you guys are okay with it. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. But let's talk about the big news, which is the fact that I have hit 3,000 subscribers. Woo, that's like 1/1,000,000th of what PewDiePie has. But anyway, pretty big accomplishment for me personally, so I wanted to give back to you guys a little bit because you have done a good bit for me. I have 47 games from one big bundle that I had gotten, and then some from some people that supported the channel by sending me some games. I don't accept games as a form of contribution to the channel or anything, so I took those games that those people sent me, and then I'm going to give them away to you guys. But here's the only deal. The way that you enter the giveaway is going to be by joining the Discord, and then there will be a channel in there that you just put down your name, and you will be inserted into the giveaway. And then we'll do a way of auctioning off the games sometime in the next couple weeks. And that's going to be simple as that. Basically, if you're quick, you're going to be able to get a game. They're not anything, you know, I'm not giving away Call of Duty 7. I'm giving away some pretty basic little indie games that you can get a couple good hours out of and have a good day with. So that's basically everything going on. It's going to be a good summer. We're going to get a lot of content out. I'll probably do another channel update sometime in July. I don't know. We'll figure it out. And that'll just keep you guys updated. If you haven't joined the Discord, be sure to definitely join it now. A link is always in the description to it. It's a great community, great group of guys and gals chilling, talking about games, gambling, buying things from shops. It's a good time. And everybody there would be happy to see you. So that's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry about no other videos today. The fact that I just got home from vacation, my backlog was not big enough to cover today, so regular videos will start up tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Hey everybody, and welcome to my channel. My channel was founded several years back, but revitalized, so to speak, over the course of this past year. I'm in college now, doing my studies and doing my YouTube on the side, having a fun time with it. What can you expect from my channel? You can expect daily uploads in indie games such as The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus, RimWorld, Stardew Valley, Rocket League, Ultimate Chicken Horse, Town of Salem, and many, many, many other titles as time goes on. I tend to rant and ramble about pretty much anything and everything in my videos, especially in one of my most popular series, The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. I have numerous videos related to Isaac that you may have seen, such as my top 10 series. I used to be a primarily Minecraft channel and still enjoy the game a lot, which means you may see some building or modded server videos from time to time. I love building games that allow me to show off my creative mind, and I have several series of Zoo Tycoon 2, a zoo simulator game from the early 2000s, in which I build some creative zoos. You're not going to find a lot of first-person shooter style games on the channel, but rather a lot of creative, strategy, and action indie style games like RimWorld and Prison Architect. I also play a lot of games with my friends, which often results in hilarity and fun times. I feel that multiplayer content is incredibly important for a channel, and I try to have numerous series running at a time featuring multiplayer gameplay. I also stream every Sunday and any other day that I can with surprise guest encounters from my other YouTube friends. These streams are approximately 2 hours long and consist of 2 to 3 different games chosen each week. I may look to live stream more as time goes on, as it really is nice to communicate with you guys watching the stream. The schedule for the channel can always be found in the About section on the channel homepage, and also in my personal Discord channel, which a link can be found to in the description below. Overall, it truly is a pleasure to provide YouTube content to you guys, and I love doing YouTube as a hobby in my life. I hope you enjoy your stay on the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! Hello everybody, and welcome to Spatial. Spatial is a game that I found online, and I gotta admit, it's like strange, but it's good at the same time. It's a very simple game. I'll leave a link down below if you would like to play it. But basically, you are the blue ships. You're trying to destroy the red ships. And the ships will fire all the time. And all you do is drag the ships to move them. And then kind of like choose where you shoot, I guess you can say. And then you can right click to change your view. Like so, and ships will automatically select and fire upon enemies, and then left click and drag over an enemy to manually target it. So you can kind of see we can change our point of view here, and I'm going to move these guys slightly to the left and right. I will say one thing, I've played a couple of rounds of this. It's insanely hard, man. Okay, we got hit, but I haven't quite figured out like the best way to go about playing this. I guess focus fire on one enemy first, then worry about the second, but it's also like, it's so incredibly difficult. I mean, I'm trying to just target these guys, but our one ship is taking a beating. I believe if we move those out of the way a bit. It's difficult because the one ship that's hiding behind that asteroid down there is kind of oh, I thought we got hit right there. It's kind of at an angle that I can't quite figure out here. And so we just got absolutely Rochambeau'd. Oh boy. Okay, this is not looking good for us. Let's see if we can knock out that ship. We're pretty close to it. Oh, we got hit again. Okay, we got a couple of hits in. And we're dead. Man, it's so tough. You can kind of see how it's played. We'll try another round here. But it is like, it is so incredibly difficult. Okay, here we go. We're all starting on the same plane. Let's go straight up with them like so. Let's try and get one ship down first. And then focus fire on a second. If we can get the shots to go like slightly away from our target, it'll go into it, is my hope. Okay, there we go. That was a good shot. Let's focus fire on this guy up here. Our ships just took a huge beating. Okay, we're doing fine. Actually, try and get this guy out. He's almost dead. Oh, yeah. Oh, there goes that ship. Okay, oh, I just slammed right into it. Okay, we're good. We're good. Please just get that guy dead. Get that guy dead. He's hiding behind the asteroid. Okay. We hit that instead. That guy's going and hiding. There's a strategy that we could employ, I suppose. Where's that guy gonna be? That seemed like a pretty good spot. Come on, hit, please. Damn, we died again. I'm telling you, you guys need to go download this game and just see if there's any hope in the world for you to actually beat this. It's so tough. I've played this a like fair amount today, just trying to get the hang of it, and I haven't accomplished like jack all. Get out of the way. Get out of the... Oh, you still got hit. Okay, but we hit him. Oh, I thought that one was good. Okay, hit. No. Move, please. Okay. Maybe we... I can't figure out what angle to sit at. Okay, that guy should be dead. Seriously, you missed him? Come on! Okay, you know what? While he's focusing on the guy down there. Okay, those ships are both dead. It's a 1v1. I can handle a 1v1. Just serpentine. Back and forth. Oh, we dodged right into it. I feel like I'm playing Isaac. Oh, we dodged right into it. Oh, okay. No, we're good. We get hit again. No! Okay, we're good. We're good. Our other ships just are floating out into, you know, the atmosphere or whatever we're in right now. I'd assume this is space, but maybe not. Okay, we got a hit. Let's go down. Okay. Computer AI too strong on this one. Oh, I thought that was the end of us. We're one hit away. Come on. Oh, we dodged right into it. Oh, we're okay. It went high. The angles, man. Okay, go a little bit higher. That one so got him. So got him. Nope. Okay. Shouldn't get hit there. Go slightly. Oh, that's gonna hit us. Okay. We got this. We got this. The longest death match in the sky ever start. Oh no! Okay. One more try. That's all I'm gonna give this. Is it about to like tell me that I'm horrible at this game or something? I don't really know how this progression works either, since we're losing poorly. Hey, we got 3 ships now. One of which is like the monster ship. Let's try and focus fire all on one guy to start. There is music to the game as well. What? That's raw. There is some music to the game as well, but I'm kind of afraid of some copyright issues, so I decided to turn it off. Okay, this ship is like pulling out some death laser crap. Okay, you know what? You go. Oh, we got one ship down. And here, our second one's almost dead too. Okay, this asteroid's getting in the way a little bit. That guy's shooting like a shotgun, and now we just have like our super ship. But our super ship is so good! My lord, look at it! Okay. Super ship should be able to take down these guys, come on. Get wrecked. There we go. Finally got ourselves a win. We needed the super Darth laser ship in order to succeed, but that's fine. No problem whatsoever. Let's try one more. Since we got a win, we might as well. Oh, they got a super ship too now. They got like 2 super ships. Okay. Super ship, focus on this guy. You handle that guy. Move a little bit. Move a little bit. Super ship just destroyed our guy, but we got one as well. Should the focus be on knocking out super ship? I feel like that's probably a better idea. Super ship, almost... Oh, it destroyed our super ship, and also, basically killed this guy as well. This is gonna be, like, miracle on ice if we pull this one out of here. Oh, there we go. Wow. That was horrible. Okay, well, if you enjoyed this, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. I don't know if we'll play this some more. If you really enjoy it, I'll play it some more, and I'll keep getting wrecked by it. But, yeah, this is Spatial. Go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. And, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Me to manually target it. So you can kind of see we can change our point of view here. And I'm going to move these guys slightly to the little bit. Move a little bit. Super ship just destroyed our guy, but we got one as well. Should the focus be on knocking out super ship? I feel like that's probably a better idea. Super ship, almost... Oh, it destroyed our super ship, and also, basically killed this guy as well. This is gonna be, like, miracle on ice if we pull this one out of here. Oh, there we go. Wow. That was horrible. Okay, well, if you enjoyed this, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. I don't know if we'll play this some more. If you really enjoy it, I'll play it some more, and I'll keep getting wrecked by it. But, yeah, this is Spatial. Go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. And, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Upon enemies, and then left click a little bit, move a little bit. Super ship just destroyed our guy, but we got one as well. Should the focus be on knocking out Super Ship? I feel like that's probably a better idea. Super Ship almost... Oh, it destroyed our Super Ship. And also basically killed this guy as well. This is going to be like miracle on ice if we pull this one out of here. Oh, there we go. Wow. That was horrible. Okay, well, if you enjoyed this, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. I don't know if we'll play this some more. If you really enjoy it, I'll play it some more, and I'll keep getting wrecked by it. But, yeah, this is Spatial. Go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. And, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
The Bibbits is an evolution simulation I've been working on for, oh god, 5 years now. The simulation has grown a lot from its humble beginnings, and I think that the project is way overdue for a showcase of how it works and what kind of complexity you can expect from it. After all, you can download the simulation for free on itch.io and observe your own unique universe. In this video, I'll try to do that and let the simulation run for 100 hours and see how things develop over time. Because not only do their genes mutate over generations, their brain too. And with a lot of senses and actions at their disposal, their behavior is always unique between every run. We'll try to explore things from the perspective of taxonomy, biology, ecology, and all the other science we can fit in there. So, without more delay, welcome to the fascinating world of the Bibbits. So, the first thing to note is that you have a lot of control over the parameters and the rules of the environment. You can alter how plants grow, how hard it is to move around, the energy cost of producing pheromones, and oh so much more. In fact, you have access to around 120 settings that influence the simulation. In our case, we'll keep things pretty normal. We'll keep most settings as default, but I'll play around with the plant spawning settings to make it so that we have 3 different and isolated plant islands on a fairly big map. As a result, we'll be able to see distinct populations develop on each island, and I think that this will make for a more interesting video. By default, the islands slowly drift around, but I'll make it a little slower so that the islands stay distinct and don't run into one another. That being said, let's go in. Awesome. We have our 3 islands, each with a large number of plant pellets ready to be colonized. Right at the start, basic Bibbits with some degree of variations are spawned. Most are unadapted for this environment, and it will take some time before real species start to develop and survive on their own. In this case, the islands are pretty small, so it's easy for Bibbits to run into the void and die before they reach maturity, especially if they are fast. Additionally, their energy budget is pretty tight at the start, so going too fast would be too costly for the speed at which they can digest food. After approximately half an hour in, we have the first Bibbit that managed to lay an egg on our southern island. They managed to do this by moving really slowly to conserve energy and prevent running into the void. They also turn toward where there's the most amount of food, so that's always useful. As such, they get the honor of being the first official species. Because of their beautiful, cute eyes, we'll name them Rosoculi primitus, for the initial pink eye. By the way, I have to tell you right now that I'm not a trained biologist. Everything I'm teaching you now, I learned on my own, and might have learned wrong. That being said, let me tell you things as if they were facts. The binomial naming system is the system used to give scientific names to species in what we call the field of taxonomy. Basically, all species are given a name composed of 2 terms. The first is called the generic name and identifies the genus of the species. Genus just basically means group. The second part is called the specific name and is used to differentiate the different species inside a genus. Back to it. After some time, other species have started taking hold on the other islands, using similar adaptations like being very slow and boring to watch in real time. But they are less unique and not as cool as our Rosoculi, so we'll wait a little bit before naming them. Fast forward to 7 hours in, on the eastern island, we have a few notable species. First, there's these guys that are rather odd looking. I think the species name Stultus apparere, for stupid looking, is fitting. Alongside them, we have these purple-eyed Bibbits that have a funny mutation. They evolved the connection toward their immune system neuron, which is unused in this simulation since I did not enable the virus system in this run. So as a result, we'll name them Inutilus cascus, for the original useless. On our western island, the most prevalent species is this one, which has evolved a bigger size than most other species so far. This seems to help them gobble up smaller plant pellets without having to bite into them, which is an early form of filter feeding. For them, Pingis paulum, for somewhat fat, fits perfectly. Back to our southern island, where Rosoculi is thriving, their behavior is still relatively the same, beside minor changes to their genes. After all, we've only just reached the 8th generation, so they don't vary too much for now. One thing I dislike, however, is that some of them have started to diverge and evolve slightly different eye colors. I just named the species after this exact feature. So if this keeps happening, it has the potential to make me look very dumb. We don't want that, so I'll have to play God a little bit and cleanse the members that differ too much from our ideals. And a while ago I added a button to do just that. But we have many means of achieving that same goal. However, after not even an hour I got very tired, which started to put quite a strain on my carpal tunnels. I had some discussions with Aleholab, the creator of another evolution simulation that focuses on plants. He recently implemented something along those lines and suggested I do the same.
Yeah, I recently implemented something along those lines, and I suggest that you do the same. Let me show you. This sphere in the middle is the target color, and all these colors you can see around are within the tolerance range. Then I have created this laser tower that kills automatically any plant that is very different from the target color. I will explain it better in my video. I will explain how I made it work. And maybe you, for the Vivids, you need to do something slightly different. Good? Okay.
Alejo was right. Obviously, the best idea was to automate selection. I got to work, and after some coding, I ended up with an awesome result. You can now place the color selector and tune its parameters to produce the exact behavior you want. In this case, I'll choose the right hue and define a small tolerance. I'll select the right parameters, and voila! Nice, so we should be good to go. I'll leave the simulation running and see where it lands us. 15 hours in, things have developed in an interesting manner. Our Rosoculi primitus have separated into two species. The first still has a pretty similar brain, but has started to grow a little bit. Their size gene went up by a significant, but still small amount. We'll name them Rosoculi paulomagis, for a little more of pink eye. The second species has a lower speed gene, but evolved a more complex brain compared to their ancestor and cousin. Most notably, they started to produce pheromones proportionally to how full they are. They do not sense the pheromones in any way, but now that pheromones are present in the environment, it could evolve at any point in the future. That's usually how the use of pheromones evolved too in the animal kingdom on Earth. First, a random mutation makes a species produce a certain odor, and further down the line, others might have an evolutive pressure to be able to recognize that scent and use it for a specific purpose. Then, they also have the incentive to produce that pheromone in greater quantity, essentially being a positive feedback loop of pheromone development. For that reason, we'll name these ones Rosoculi benolet, for good-smelling pink eye. On our eastern island, things are dire. All the Bibits seem to now be pink-eyed too. Looking at their brain and genes, it seems like they are all descendants of Inutilus cascus, that just happen to develop pink eyes and are not at all related to the Rosoculi species of the south. Looking around, it also looks like the Stultus aparere species was wiped out. They were stupid after all, so it kinda makes sense. The Inutilus genus split in two notable species that look identical but have pretty different brains and behavior. The first one evolved to digest things slower as it ages. This seems to allow them to be more efficient as they age and need less energy for growth. The name Inutilus canosalvus, for useless aging stomachs, is good enough. Their cousins on their part have started to turn as their stomach fills up. This seems like a helpful way to stay around places that have a good amount of food. In fact, after watching an old video from DVGen, I recognized this behavior was a form of indirect kinesis, a non-directional change in activity in response to a stimulus. Basically, if they turn when they manage to eat food and have a full stomach, they are more likely to stay in the same area and profit from the same food source. In our case, this seemed like a very good additional safety against running out into the void. As a result, they'll get the perfect name of Inutilus turboplenus, for useless that turns when full. And finally, on our western island, the big Pingus paulum disappeared in favor of their descendants. They have grown even larger and have a mean look in their eyes. We'll name them Pingus avarus, for greedy and greasy. And whoops! I forgot to pause the game overnight and we accidentally jumped 15 hours in the future. We are now 30 hours in and very interesting things have happened. First of all, our southern island is now populated by big greenish creatures. They are big and slow and seem to be the first direct observation of filter feeding so far. The older and bigger individuals open their mouths as much as possible and directly swallow all the food they run into. However, when trying to classify them, I run into a little bit of difficulty and I'm getting quite confused. First, they seem to share a lot of the genetic markers of Rosoculi paulomagis, and we could even say that they follow a natural progression as paulomagis had already started increasing in size. However, if we look at their brain, they share a structure that is very similar to what Inutilus turboplenus from the eastern island had. In fact, putting them side to side, the similitude is pretty evident. As a result, I'm having a very hard time figuring out what species is the ancestor of our green giants here. Are they from the Rosoculi genus and just a result of lucky convergent evolution? Or are they from the Inutilus genus that migrated across the void, colonizing the island and wiping out the local Rosoculi population and also happening to lose their characteristic useless connection? I tried calculating the probabilities of both options, and both ended up being very unlikely and of similar proportions. Well, now you can see how being a biologist and trying to classify species can be a very hard endeavor. I think that based on the fact that our green giants have a gene that has the exact same value as Rosoculi paulomagis had 15 hours ago, I'm going to put our giants in the Rosoculi genus as descendants of the paulomagis. I might also be influenced by the fact that I don't want the Rosoculi genus to be extinct already, but this is a very hard call to make. We'll give them the name Rosoculi major because of their size. Moving on from that conundrum and onto the western island, the dominating species is still extremely similar to what we had 15 hours ago. Inutilus turboplenus stays pretty much unchanged. As such, we'll name the present one Inutilus turboplenus cordi for the second Inutilus turboplenus. I'll probably keep that framework and give the cordi title to species that don't change much after a long time. I want to say, however, that this is probably not standard practice. I don't know what I'm doing. On our western island, we find that a lot of plants seem to have accumulated, creating a lush and abundant environment. I'm not very sure how that happened, since food should grow similarly on all the islands. Probably a bug. Looking at the actual inhabitants of this island, we see cute red-eyed bibits that should be the descendants of our Avarus. Wait. Oh god. Looking into it more, these ones are definitely from the Inutulus genus. They have the exact same brain structure and the same useless connection that characterizes them. This proves that Inutulus turboplenus has migrated at least once. They managed to survive the trip through the void and reach the West Island, where they took hold, reproduced, and eventually wiped out the previous native population of Pingus avarus. We'll name them Inutulus proculis, for useless from far away. The fact that we now have proof of an existing migration event might make us rethink our classification of the green giant population. However, the fact that all members of the Inutulus genus stayed this simple and didn't vary too much makes me think that it would have been less likely for them to evolve so differently in the southern island. I've never been this uncertain of a choice in my life, but I'll keep my decision and leave them as members of the Rosoculi family. Moving on, and whoops! Again, I've managed to forget the simulation running overnight. We are now 20 hours later, at 50 hours into the simulation, with no save files in between to go to and help us make sense of how things have developed. This is akin to how paleontologists might have a lot of information missing from certain periods of the fossil record, and it will probably complicate our process a lot. I'll try my best to be better and take more regular and frequent saves of the simulation from now on. So, 50 hours in, and our western island still seems to be more fertile than the others. The population there looks very chaotic and displays a lot of variety in color. Looking deeper into it, I think I managed to identify 3 distinct species that are different enough. They are not too interesting, so I think that I'll name them quickly Inutilus unus multum 1, 2, and 3, for one of the many useless 1, 2, and 3. Looking at the situation in our favorite southern island, things are surprising. We have 2 very different and identifiable species. One displays a flashy green body and a dangerous-looking mouth, indicating a high-strength gene that would result in higher damage when biting. The other one is way paler, but instead has started growing armor and defenses. They also produce green pheromones when seeing other bibits and leave beautiful trails behind them. Just to be clear, however, they are both herbivores, which can be seen through the shape of their mouth. However, they have plenty of other differences that we can look into. If we now look at the growth genes, we can predict that their growth curve will look pretty different. The growth curve of a species just describes how fast they grow over their lifetime. And while they can look quite complex for species we find in the real world, in the bibits, that curve is defined by those 3 genes and a far simpler formula. If we compare our 2 species here, we can see that while their growth start at a similar level, they quickly diverge, with the paler one growing approximately 2 times slower. Also, it's interesting to note that both species will continue growing all their lifetime, even after reaching maturity. That doesn't have to be the case, as the formula allows for a large variety of curves. Those differences surprise me because a higher strength makes growth cost more energy, so in the case of our flashy ones here, not only do they grow faster, their growth is also more expensive. This is somewhat balanced by the fact that their size gene is a little lower, and they also have a slower metabolism. But still, I found that surprising. If we compare the energy costs of 2 individuals that are approximately at the same stage of growth, we see that the paler species uses a lot more energy overall, especially for sustaining their metabolism. But our flashy ones just have more energy diverted to growth. So, faced with the same environment, they seem to be going for very different strategies in managing their energy. I think it's going to be very interesting to see this dynamic develop over the next generations. We'll name them accordingly: Rosoculi infensis for aggressive pink eye, and Rosoculi rigicutus for tough-skinned pink eye. Now going to our eastern island, we see an interesting situation. First, we have these, which are rather odd-looking, and somewhat familiar to a species that inhabited that same island not too long ago. However, studying the genome and brain of that species, they are clearly from the Unutulus genus. They just seem to have diverged a lot from their ancestor, which is not too surprising considering the huge gap since our last study. As an homage to the past, we'll name them Inutilus stultum, for useless and stupid. The other species inhabiting this island also looks quite familiar. In fact, by reviewing their brain structure and genes, they are definitely Rosoculi descendants. Even more so, I think I can safely assume that they migrated from the southern island quite a while ago, before the two species we now have there started diverging. They share brain structures that this migrator doesn't have. They are in far greater number than the Stultums, suggesting that they have slowly been taking more space and slowly driving them closer and closer to extinction. As such, we'll name them Rosoculi ostis, for conqueror pink eye. This video is already getting a lot longer than I first anticipated, so I'm going to stop things here and rush the second part. At the time at which this is uploaded, I'm already mostly done and will do my best to finish and upload it within a week. I don't want to leave you waiting for too long. I'm going to announce a big event at the end of the second part, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell to get to see the video early. And I know I left the video on a big cliffhanger with our two competing strategies on the southern island, but aside from forcing you to watch the next part in order to get closure, I think that this is an opportunity to let you, the viewer, place your bets and try to guess how this situation will develop. Let me know your theory in the comments and I'll draw a Discord key at random amongst the comments that were right, allowing you to join the private Discord server where my Patreons and I are active. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you very soon in the second part of this adventure.
If you're anything like me, you should probably stop playing so many video games, but apart from that, you've probably played so much Factorio that you might start looking towards mods to help keep the game fresh. But then when you find one, you want to be sure it's something good, so you start looking for some videos and get nothing but 20-hour playthroughs broken up into 30 parts that never even finish. If you're me, hopefully this video will be what you're looking for. Or you could just be here to watch me suffer. That's fine too. Today we're going to be playing the Rampant mod. It does a lot of things to the biters, but suffice to say it makes them much harder. Since this is meant to be a mod showcase of sorts, I'm going to be playing with all default settings, since I can only assume that's the way that the mod creator intended it to be played, but there's loads of options that come with this mod to make it easier or harder, as well as things like making biters only attack at night or ignore railroads and power poles entirely. So if you're looking for a challenge, but not that much of a challenge, don't feel too intimidated by it. Anyway, to make this even more fun, we're going to be playing on the Death World preset, which means twice the number of enemy bases that are twice the size, closer to spawn, and absorb half as much pollution, which basically means that twice as many biters are going to appear. I've also added the Armored Biters mod to make it even spicier, and alien biomes to make it look a little more interesting. I've beaten Death World multiple times, as well as Death World Marathon, and it always felt more like it was testing my patience than any kind of skill, so how hard could this be? Well, that's not too surprising with a nest that close to the resources. I'll make the gun turrets faster next time. And some ammo. Oh, God. So I need more than 2 gun turrets. 4 turrets protected by pipe walls and 4 furnaces dedicated to making ammo should be enough. Well, I made it an hour that time, so we're getting somewhere. I think it might be time to admit that this is a little bit harder than regular Death World. The armored biters are tough, but with red ammo, they shouldn't be much of a problem anymore. And now that I have grenades, I can just kill entire waves instantly. I'm still taking damage, but I should be able to stabilize from here. And with a wall of automatically resupplying gun turrets, I'd say I'm pretty stabilized. But then the turrets ran out of ammo. Even with 8 assemblers making something like 3,000 units an hour, it still wasn't enough. Over half of all my resources were dedicated to making nothing but ammunition, they still couldn't clear the waves. I never stipulated that this was meant to be deathless, but even if I respawned, there's no way to recover from here. This 3-hour run is over. Okay, this time I'm going to use everything I learned from the past 4 runs, do it faster, and do it bigger. If I can get enough science going, I might be able to get enough weapons research to outdamage, and I'm dead. Great. That's another hour down the drain. I think I'm ready to admit that this is actually quite hard. The biggest problem are these armored biters I insisted on adding. They've got 3 times the health, physical damage resistance, and seem to have no problem spawning by the hundreds despite that. Gun turrets simply aren't enough to stop these things, and no amount of upgrades is gonna change that. After 5 failures, it looks like I've got to do the one thing I hoped I'd never need to do. I've got to use my brain. Also, I'm looking for a good map seed this time. For it to be a good seed, the resources need to be close together, there needs to be water nearby, and I need an oil field somewhere that isn't swarming with biters. Without all that at the start, it's just too slow to make it beyond the first hour or so. Alien Biomes really slows down map generation, so if you're going to be looking for map seeds while it's installed, you should limit the map size to make it much faster. Just don't forget to get rid of it when you're done. Anyway, this looks like a good seed, so let's give it a shot. I didn't intend to make it easier, but Alien Biomes has rocks everywhere, so I don't need to worry about getting the stone for the stone furnaces at all, which saves me some time and pollution. I've got some time before the pollution hits the biter nests, but without many trees down there, it's gonna spread pretty fast. The goal here is to be fast, so I want to get automation research as quickly as possible. I spent some precious crafting time to make a couple underground pipes so I can try to get the power reasonably close to everything else. The more compact the base is, the easier it will be to defend and the less time I'll need to waste walking. With that, I've got some very quick research going so I can get started on automation and gun turrets before the first waves show up. I need to get started on automation as soon as possible because I need about 1,000 things, and by the time I handcrafted them all, I'd probably be dead. But while I wait for some things to handcraft, I'm going to start laying down the furnaces and power poles for our furnace stack later. This will save me a ton of time in the future. With the miners, assemblers, and inserters that I crafted in the meantime, I can finally get started on some quick automation. The first thing I'll be crafting with it is ammunition. I'm gonna need it in the hundreds if I have any hope of keeping this base alive past the 30-minute mark, but the pollution hasn't reached the nests yet, so we've still got time to prepare. Next up are belts and pipes. I don't have the time to research walls, let alone automate them, so these pipes are gonna need to be my walls for now. They've only got 100 health, but they'll keep biters off your turrets long enough to keep them from exploding in the early game. With all these miners and assemblers, one engine just isn't enough anymore. A good way to speed up your early game is to automate intermediate products like gears. Even if you can't fully automate them into inserters or mining drills, you can think of every gear that you craft in this way, saving you a half second of handcrafting time, and that adds up pretty quickly. We'll do the same with copper wire, which will save us 3/4 of a second every time we make circuits. With our cursory automation done, we can start working on the furnace stack while they fill up. With gears and copper wire, it only takes 3.5 seconds to craft a mining drill instead of 8.25 without, and we're going to need a good number of them to supply these furnaces, as well as a bunch of inserters. The pollution is almost to the first nest, so it's time to start setting up our defenses. There's also that message that just appeared, and as far as I know, unlike in Vanilla Factorio, where biters will only attack when they absorb enough pollution or when you get too close to a nest, in Rampant they send out these small scouting parties that roam around and basically just try to kill all your power poles. You're given some time at the start before these start appearing, and you can adjust it in the options, but the default is 20 minutes. This means that the fun is about to begin. And there it is, the nests have started absorbing pollution. All I can really do is keep building. More miners means more pollution, means more biters, and means more defenses, which need more miners to support them. It's a vicious cycle I'm about to start, but unfortunately you need to build things to win this game. There's one of those scouting parties I mentioned. The real attacks are much larger, but they're the first biters to attack our base, so I guess that makes them special. And another one. I don't know why I haven't built a machine gun yet. The furnaces are up, at least partially, so we can start automating some things for real. Green circuits are the most important since they let you automate all the starter buildings like assemblers, miners, and inserters which also go into green science. That being said, 2 assemblers should be enough for our purposes. After that, I immediately start setting up red science and handcrafting labs since I don't even have logistic science packs researched yet. Last run I made like 8 of these red assemblers, but I'm only making 4 this time. The benefits of faster research didn't outweigh the amount of pollution that much industry created. Basically, it was making more biters than the additional research helped to kill, so I'm slowing it down this time. Up until now, I haven't really been doing anything different from the past 5 runs, but this is where it diverges. I'm not going to rush red ammo, and I'm not going to research anything unnecessary like physical weapon damage or shooting speed. Gun turrets will always betray me, and upgrading them is a fruitless endeavor. I know that now. Even if I dedicated my entire base to making nothing but ammo, they'd still get overwhelmed. If you want any chance of surviving, we're gonna need something stronger, and anyone who's played Factorio already knows what I'm talking about. We need flamethrower turrets. To unlock them, this is all the research I'll need. From here, it'll take 500 red packs, 440 green packs, and 50 military packs. I'm gonna craft those by hand. If all goes well, I'll be able to get them up before everything explodes again. Anyway, I've just freed myself from handcrafting assemblers and mining drills, so now it's time to get started on the green science. These attacks are becoming very large, and there weren't even any armored biters in that one. Unfortunately, I was slow on setting green science up, but it's hard to stay on schedule when things are constantly blowing up. It doesn't take long though. With this simple arrangement, you can support up to 12 green science assemblers, but we're only making 6. Electronics research is just in time for me to finish green science and deconstruct these temporary labs. On my way to refuel some of the old dirty automation, I realized that a nest of biters has expanded right next to my base. This aggressive expansion is almost certainly because of Rampant, and there's nothing I can really do about it right now. I've got more important things to worry about, like setting up more labs. Military 2 is the first thing I'm going to use my green science on, not just for the red ammo, but for the grenades. Grenades are extremely powerful in the early game, capable of clearing entire waves that would take out several turrets in one blast, so they're a real high priority right now. And while I was in the middle of building them, this happens. Let's just pretend that that never happened. That's what I get for being too slow with the grenades. A single one could have taken out that entire group. I went back to a previous autosave, which was like 14 minutes ago, and it was before I had built anything off of that furnace stack. I could have edited this out and pretended that it never happened, but that would be lying. Though, when I started this playthrough, I thought that the purpose of it was to make a mod showcase, but I've now come to realize that it was actually to make me suffer, and I think needing to redo everything is perfectly in line with that. As you can see, we're already off to a great start. So I fix that up real quick and get started on setting up green science before it's even finished being researched. Unsurprisingly, I'm going a little bit faster this time around. I'm pointing the labs away from the battlefront this time. 10 should be enough. And here's green science real quick. And just like that, we're basically back to where we were before. I'm putting my brick forges here to keep the base compact. I'll need them for military science, and eventually I'd like to switch from pipes to actual walls, so getting them out of the way early will be very helpful. I'm also setting up grenades as early as possible this time. They're also an ingredient in military science, but mostly I don't want to need to reload again. From here, my job is mostly to not die while my labs chew through research, and grenades should help with that a lot. Steel is the last important ingredient, but instead of mass-producing red ammo like I did all the other times, I'm going to use it for making engines and flamethrower turrets. Oh, great. Well, looks like I'm rebuilding green science. At least it shows how powerful the grenades are. I had to turn off alert sounds because if I didn't, half the video would just be... But it does stop me from realizing things are exploding from time to time. If only there was a way to make alerts only sound for things you actually care about. Anyway, back to what we were doing before we were so rudely interrupted. Our research is progressing nicely, but our defenses are not. Maybe after 10 attempts I'd be able to do both at the same time, but unfortunately I'm only on attempt number 6 right now. I want to get some engines up so I can turn them all into flamethrower turrets later. Apart from enough red ammo to make 50 military packs, this is pretty much the only thing that I need steel for. Wow, real walls. Yeah, so blowing up my own base is less than ideal, but it's the only way that I can deal with these waves. There's only 4 things left to research now, so as long as I keep fighting them off with grenades, I should be good to go. Oil processing is up, so it's time to start worrying about military science and set up some red ammo. I only need 50 to make all the packs I need, but some extra doesn't hurt. This is probably the 5th time biters chewing through my water pipes has taken down my power grid. It's hard to even see what broke through these piles of corpses. This is the real challenge. Between blowing up biters and rebuilding what you blew up, there's hardly any time left to expand the base. Anyway, I start handcrafting some military science. You get 2 per craft, so I only need to do it 25 times in order to get all 50, and at 10 seconds each, it'll only take about 4 minutes of handcrafting to get all of it. It's almost certainly faster than automating it, and for how powerful flamethrower turrets are, I highly recommend it. Oil processing is done, and with that, flamethrowers are now only 2 researches away. But as you might know, flamethrowers are quite useless without fuel, so we'll need to get our hands on some oil. I craft some pump jacks and start heading down, only to find that our once pristine oil field has now been overrun by biters. You can see there's already a big swarm gathered there. I don't really have the ammo or the turrets to take them out via turret creep, nor the time to get the ammo or turrets, so we'll need to make do with grenades and fish. After dealing with that swarm, I break off to get some fish, and then I notice another massive swarm moving in on my base to my right. If an attack this big hit my turrets, they would definitely win, so I'm glad I was able to catch them off guard here. That infested oil field is gonna slow me down, but I think it's small enough for us to handle. After a quick restock, I'm off. It's only been a minute or two, but another large attack group has already shown up. It took every single grenade I had, but we just barely managed to do it. There's no time to celebrate though, I want this oil flowing as soon as possible. This is what happens when I leave my base for 1 minute. Didn't even have any grenades left, so I had to run for more before I could do anything. This is where I'm going to store all the oil to be our fuel. Soon it will flow like the black sticky heart of our base. I slap down our pump jacks over the corpses of our enemies and start hooking up the pipes. Aesthetics are not a concern here, I just need it now. Hook up the power and then suddenly we have precious oil pouring into our base. But that won't last long now that these pump jacks are giving off their own pollution. It's only a matter of time before the biters show up to this outpost, but with flamethrowers almost done, hopefully we'll have a chance of fending them off. Flamethrowers are finally done, so I start crafting some as soon as I can. Naturally, the first thing I want to defend is the oil stockpile. This one tank is the singular shining hope left for this run. It's hard for you to tell with the editing, but we're under attack constantly, and our makeshift defenses are at their limit with only yellow ammo to work with. I'm doing worse than attempt 4, but at least this time there's hope. The next most important thing to defend is the oil field. I want to keep this thing up for as long as possible so we can stockpile as much oil as we can, since the moment a biter chews through a power line, this place is going down. Oh god, these things are all over the place. This is what happens when I'm not around to grenade them before they make it through the turrets. Can't even grenade them easily. It's doing more damage than they will. But I've got to do something. So much for doing research. Not even 30 seconds later, I see this happening down below. I try to rebuild to eke out some more science, but I've got no gun turrets left on the front and hardly any ammo. Wish I could just envelop everything with walls and flamethrower turrets already, but I just don't have enough yet. Remember that nest that moved into the coal patch in that alternate reality? Well, it's back. I deal with that only to realize that I'm also being attacked at the north. I make it just in time to save the miners and assemblers from being blown up, but I can't do much else. Hey, cut it out. Stop it. Stop trying to expand, you stupid biters. This is totally Rampant's fault. This isn't how biters usually expand. For starters, they don't make purple goo when they do it, and they certainly don't try to build nests right next to pre-existing ones. Normal biters cannot expand a base within 3 chunks of an existing one. Chunks are 32 by 32, so this is totally new behavior. It took me a while to realize that that purple goo was actually doing damage to me, and then I realized that it's actually the particle effects from a poison capsule tinted purple. No one ever uses poison capsules, so I completely forgot what they looked like, but once I figured it out, it made perfect sense for it to be damaging me. This is fine, nothing bad going on here. Ah, some more expansion by the pumps. I don't think this place is long for the world, but this will help it survive a little bit longer. And then they ran out of power. I didn't make the connection that the coal miners blowing up meant no power the moment the boilers drained the belt. Just look at the size of these waves. We're only an hour into the run and we're getting hundreds. At least I bought a little bit more time for our pump jacks to work. I try to repair the steel smelters so I can keep making flamethrower turrets, but the writing's on the wall. And here's another wave, with the corpses of the last one still there in the same spot. And is it just me, or are these bases getting closer? You can see this constant stream of them just pouring out like ants. I've got 56,000 oil stockpiled, and I hope it's enough. They really want to expand to this coal patch. And even though I just killed the expanding party, a nest has shown up there anyway. I'm starting to realize that these nests are multiplying without expansion parties. I have no idea what causes it or exactly how it works, but I know new nests are appearing next to existing ones, and they're slowly getting closer. Look, I was gone for like 30 seconds, and another one has already appeared next to it. Look there, you can see it just literally popped into existence. I try to get rid of them, but I'm just wasting grenades. Doesn't help that the person who made the Armored Biters mod gave their nest more than double the health of the other ones. I just realized I'm out of fish. And I died again. Screw that, I'm not staying dead. Best part is I got killed by my own flamethrower turret. At least from the afterlife we get a beautiful view of the biters. All my grenades are on my corpse, so there's nothing I can do about this right now. At least we managed to stockpile 70,000 oil before it all went to hell.
Ah! That is not a small number! That is a big number! What am I gonna do?
So this is what happened.